What's up guys, this is your favorite fanfic YouTuber, the Fanfic Majesty, and welcome to another amazing video. You can follow me on Patreon for exclusive stories. 5WF Chapter 146. This time Konoha's reconstruction plan will be entrusted to Anbu's Crow. His wood style will rebuild the area destroyed by Nine Tails. This will not only save the next money, but also help the victims, save time. In the meeting room, Tsunade had one hand on his hips, and the jealousy of the little woman who had been in her home before was perfectly hidden, only showing the heroic appearance of the superwoman. Crow, Uchiha Shisui's codename in Anbu. The name was inspired by his summoning beast the Crow. Master Hokage, according to statistics, a total of 26 people died at the hands of wood style last night. The current patriarch of the Moonlight family looked at Shisui, who was wearing an Anbu costume and wearing a mask, with a suspicious look, and frowned. I don't think. He is not worthy of trust. In fact, the latest incident occurred near the territory of the Moonlight family. Of course, it is impossible for them to have a clan land at all. It's just that they all live in that area. Did it start so soon? Tsunade frowned secretly. From yesterday evening until the end of Nine Tails Incident 09, Crow has been acting with me. Hitaki Shumo, who embraced the moon in Hungarian with both hands, squinted and said, "Does Patriarch Moonlight doubt my judgment? In the face of the powerhouse in the village who is probably second only to Hitaki Xuan Che, how can a Moonlight Patriarch of the ordinary Jonin level dare to turn back? However, nearly one-third of the dead were members of his family. If he does not ask for an explanation, he is really unwilling. If there is no evidence, don't talk about it anymore." In the end, it was Tsunade, Hokage, who took the initiative to interrupt this meaningless argument. At the same time, it also metaphors a message to the high-level people present. There is no evidence, don't doubt Uchiha, but even if you don't say it on the surface or whisper in your heart, that's another matter. What's more, the pair of Sharingan in Nine Tails' eyes last night was seen by the entire Konoha. Although part of the village was destroyed by Nine Tails, it was far from the original level that required relocation. It can be rebuilt with Shisui's wood style. Tsunade will not deliberately target Uchiha like Danzo. It didn't take long before the meeting ended. However, many Nin clan patriarchs and even decision-making members of civilian origin walked out of the administrative building. Advertisement. It is obvious that they have deliberately separated from Uchiha Fugaku. Standing on the top floor, Shisui, who silently saw all of this in his eyes, had a stronger sense of uncertainty in his heart. That's the way it is. These two girls have been drugged, and I don't know the useless skills of internal power to force poison, so I can only dedicate myself. This is all to save two living lives. At home, Xuan Che cried with tears. However, as long as you observe carefully, you will find that the B************ D has not shed a single tear at all. Tsunade looked at the trash in his eyes, and the three words of Walgen's trio revealed shamelessly in their eyes. Especially Lin Nohara and Terumi Mei, both want to hit someone. What this said seemed to be the first time that he had taken away the two of them, but it was as if he had suffered a huge loss. According to Xuan Che's secret observation, Tsunade's anger has also disappeared in half, and it is just right for him to play it this time. And this is actually the case. In those third-rate urban novels, the heroine is drugged by the villain. After the protagonist rescues the person, he actually uses internal force to force the poison? Do you usually feel so free to practice such boring tricks? I suggest you buy a few boxes of 6 walnuts to replenish your brain. Tsunade took a few deep breaths in a row to avoid being D off by this shameless B*********D. Then who is so bold, dare to come here to administer medicine? Tsunade had just asked this question. Suddenly his eyebrows raised slightly, thinking of the masked man named Uchiha Madara, that Namikaze Minato had reported to him, frowning. It's not that, Uchiha Madara, right? Uchiha Madara? Xuan Che looked slightly startled, and laughed dumbly inside. Does Obito still call himself Uchiha Madara? No, it should not be. Xuan Che shook his head. Although Obito is a little bored, he doesn't like being a green turtle. Xuan Che can be 100% sure that it is a genuine Uchiha Madara that old Yinbi figured out and made Obito blacken the means. Do you know who it is? Tsunade asked rhetorically. Xuan Che was also a little bit awkward when he said this. Advertisement tell the truth? Can these women believe it? After hesitating for a few seconds, Xuan Che said. The one who wore the mask last night, according to my perception, it is Obito in all likelihood. Obito, Tsunade, Rin Nohara, and Yuri Hong all changed their expressions suddenly. Was it the Uchiha Obito who was supposed to have died in the Battle of Kamibashi 3 years ago? Master Xuan Che, how is this possible? Kakashi personally said that he watched Obito pass away. Nohara Lin couldn't believe it. Xuan Che rubbed his temples rather irritably, then said. I don't know the specific reason. I also use my perception ability to judge. He definitely didn't want to explain why Uchiha Madara, that old thing, waited for a series of reasons. No matter what, Yuri Hong's classmates could not imagine that Obito could have such an exaggerated change. Shi Rihong leaned forward to help Xuan Che squeeze his shoulders. Recalling Obito's silly smile. If you were right, the B*********D was probably messing with two little foxes at the time. Forget it, I'm too lazy to explain, believe it or not. Anyway, the masked man is Obito, believe it or not. To be honest, she was a little dazed. it's not because you were in the midst of a turmoil at that time, and your perception was wrong, right? The masked man almost killed Kushina last night. Master Xuan Che, Obito kind of stupid guy can do this kind of thing? Me, I think it's impossible, right? Because she can vaguely guess the trace of Obito's feelings for herself, if he saw the scene last night. Tsunade was a little skeptical. If that person is really Obito, doesn't he want to kill his mother? Can his perception ability be believed at that time? Thank you for reading this story at mtlarchive.com. Your support enables us to keep the site running. Nohara Lin was silent. It seems really possible. Xuan Che directly sat down with Ju paralyzed. Chapter 147. The Nine Tails runaway incident quickly spread like the wind across the ninja world. Although many secret forces are ready to move, but after careful investigation, anyone who had a bit of a brain chose to give up. This time the Nine Tails incident, unlike the original book, only Sarutobi Hiruzen left Konoha as a cage level. As a result, Konoha almost became the 5th largest shinobi village, only slightly better than Sand Shinobi's penultimate. Advertisement. It is precisely because of this that 4th Raikage dared to shame Konoha. Not only attempted to take away Hyuga Hinata, the white-eyed successor of the Hyuga clan. And after being exposed, he dared to beat Konoha. After all, it wasn't because Konoha was too weak at that time. Oh, I almost forgot. 4th Raikage is dead long ago. The one hosting Cloud Shinobi now is 3rd Raikage. Whether it is Hitaki Xuan Che, Hitaki Tsukumo, or 4th Hokage Tsunade, or Sarutobi Hiruzen, the predecessor of 3rd generation. None of these people died. Under such circumstances, naturally no one who wants to die dares to do it. Inside Hokage's office. Obito. When I heard Tsunade said that unknown knight a few days ago, he showed that he was helpless and a master of space-time ninjutsu, and he was actually his student. Namikaze Minato was stupid. Calm down, this is what the guy Xuan Che said he perceives, although I still have doubts about what he said. Tsunade held his cheek with one hand, yet he was not free from the jealousy of the 2 little foxes that the B************ D cheated on. But it's no wonder that Namikaze Minato has such an expression. A person who should have died 3 years ago will meet again in this way. No one can believe it. Namikaze Minato fell silent. If it is Obito, isn't it that Obito almost killed Kushina? My disciple wants to kill his wife. No, not only his wife, he even wanted to give Naruto too. Master Tsunade, let me retire first. Minato bowed and left. It means he needs to calm down and think about it now. Obito. Is it really Obito? Sister, this is the list of new students enrolled in ninja school this year. Nawaki sends a stack of roster to Tsunade's table. Advertisement, too annoying. Tsunade flew like a thunder. All day long there are these lists, information, documents. If this continues, my old lady will collapse sooner or later. This Hokage old lady will quit. Substitution. Substitution. Nawaki was so frightened that he backed away suddenly and shrank into the corner. I really don't understand how an enrollment list would make Tsunade so angry. Nawaki didn't know that Tsunade's personality originally belonged to the unruly type. These tedious writings are a kind of depression to her. The ninja school enrollment list is just the last straw to reach the breaking point. Of course, the real straw is Xuan Che, Nohara Lin and Terumi made 2 little foxes. My mother is sweating outside, and you B********************* D are fluttering at home. Why? However, after a few minutes, Tsunade calmed down and took the list that Nawaki picked up and started reading. Huh? Uchiha Itachi? Tsunade frowned and muttered. Father. Uchiha Fugaku, mother. Uchiha Makoto, this kid is. Nawaki, who was next to him, recalled how her old sister was furious. Secretly whispered inwardly, it seems that I have to find time to discuss with my brother-in-law. Dong dong, at this time, a knock on the door sounded, please come in. Nawaki shouted. The door opened. 3 young and beautiful girls walked into the office. The 3 of you. Tsunade's beautiful eyes condensed slightly and then pouted. Why don't you follow that B*********** D leather stock? Teacher, Xuan Che Ren said that we will be your assistants in the future. Nohara Lin took the lead to come up and act like a baby. Yurihong followed. I have always wanted to see how Tsunade-sama works. Terumi Mei. I don't think it's good for me to be at home alone, so I came. For some reason, Tsunade always has the illusion that the harem concubine pleases the main palace. Hitaki Xuan Che, that B********** D, really has this thought, right? Damn it, it's from the Uchiha family. Advertisement, go away. Go away, you monsters, my mother said. Uchiha is the monster that controls 9 tails, stay away from us. After a long absence, I came to the outskirts of the lake, preparing to start a day of practice. Xuan Che heard noises coming from not far away, turn around and look around. I saw a few shameless children, facing a 6-year-old black-haired boy throwing stones. However, the little boy didn't fight back, he just tilted his body slightly and adjusted the angle, so that even a stone could not hit him. Bring filial son Uchiha Itachi, what are you doing? Xuan Che spoke abruptly, frightening the stone-throwing kids to death. With the fear of the hero in his frightened eyes, the little boy had trembled. Yun, Master Xuan Che, we are driving this monster out of Konoha. Yes, my parents said, the Uchiha family are all monsters. Another little devil said, I want to use it here, go out. Xuan Che said calmly. Yes, the whole Uchiha is almost, ye. You don't seem to be doing very well, Xuan Che said with his back to Uchiha Itachi. If this continues, what happened to Naruto will be repeated on Sasuke. Thank you for reading this story at mtlarchive.com. Your support enables us to keep the site running. Itachi lowered his head and smiled bitterly, although in fact, they are really good at Uchiha. The reason he has heard about it, because of the Nine Tails incident, it seems that most people in the village have accused Uchiha of the crime. Xuan Che glanced at the figure of Uchiha Itachi, already imagining what Sasuke's childhood will be like in the future. In the future, Sasuke's treatment will be similar. He didn't care about taking a filial son, so he ran away. Thank you for helping me out, Master Xuan Che, it's just the undead of Uchiha. Xuan Che habitually untied his shirt while practicing and said at the same time. Don't get me wrong, I just want to have a quiet practice environment for you. At this time, bring the filial son up the road. I remember that in the original book, this kid's treatment was considered a low-profile version of Long Aoshin, and now, it is simply a copy of Naruto. How dare to say a few little kids whose average age is only 5 or 6 years old. Chapter 148. Don't want to be Hokage? At night, Konoha is in a pub. Nawaki invited Xuan Che over for a long time, hoping to have a drink. However, Xuan Che yelled out subconsciously when he heard the topic raised by the other party. Brother-in-law, your voice is too loud. Nawaki was taken aback, turned around and saw that no one was looking over here, then he was a little relieved and whispered again. This is confidential. If it is known to others in the village, it will set off stormy waves. Tsunade, who is still under 40, doesn't want to be Hokage anymore. This is definitely a big event that can stir up waves with one stone. You know how many people think about the position of Hokage, and even dream of it. And Tsunade actually said she was bored, but when you think about it, there seems to be nothing wrong. The fourth ninja war in the original book ends, and Naruto's becoming a Hokage is a certainty. Although Tsunade at that time could still work for a few more years, and then pass the position to Naruto. But after the war, she immediately threw the position to Kakashi. This is enough to show that Tsunade is really not too cold about Hokage's position. But now, it must be Lin and the others that stimulated her. Now that the village is full of talents, it's not impossible to change people. Xuan Che said that he is a person who loves his wife. Now the old forces headed by Sarutobi Hiruzen are nothing but waste. There is no need to fear at all, and since Tsunade wanted to abdicate, let her retreat. Anyway, even if you want to change it, it will be your own person. This is the seriousness of the problem. Nawaki lowered the volume by 3 points again, and said worriedly. If there is a new Hokage leader who is not from Uchiha, what do you think they will do? If in this period, Tsunade chooses to abdicate, the new Hokage candidates are nothing more than 2. Hitaki Shumao. Advertisement Namikaze Minato. Xuan Che is not interested, that's for sure. And no matter which of these 2 people is in the top position, Uchiha's turn will eventually be missed. From the beginning of the village to the present, 5th Hokage, none of them were born in Uchiha. The ghost knew how angry Uchiha would be. Obviously, Nawaki, who has been working as Hokage's assistant for several years, is already quite sophisticated in politics. What about Uchiha Fugaku? Less likely. In this way, Uchiha feels comfortable, and the others in the village are even less likely to agree. In terms of strength, combat merit, and mind, Uchiha Fugaku is never the turn. What's more, just after the Nine Tails incident, the village's distrust of Uchiha has risen to the extreme. Uchiha Fugaku cannot be elected at all. Many readers of Xuan Che's previous life always put the phrase, Konoha owes Uchiha a Hokage, to the side. But forgot a very important thing. That was the period from when Uchiha Madara left Konoha until the beginning of the 60th year of Konoha's original work. Uchiha didn't have anyone suitable for Hokage, whether it is strength or age. Even Uchiha Itachi and Uchiha Shisui, calculating their age, there is no turn for them. This matter, I'll go back and discuss it with Tsunade. Xuan Che hesitated for a moment. He just subconsciously wanted to say what Uchiha thought. Even if they rebelled, he could easily suppress them. But Xuan Che thought again, Uchiha's unlucky group is a bit pitiful. Originally, Tsunade was in the position. Although they were a bit dissatisfied, at least they could live a stable life. As a result, Madara and Obito came out like this and pushed them to death again. Xuan Che expressed sympathy for them, but going back to its roots, the estrangement between Uchiha and the village has existed since the beginning of the village. Originally, Tsunade was in charge, even if he couldn't completely eliminate this barrier. It can at least avoid the tragedy in the original book. Unfortunately, they were still miserable by the 2 old men from their own families, Uchiha Madara and Uchiha Obito. Advertisement. You really don't want to be this Hokage? At night, after long-lost exercise time, Xuan Che put Tsunade in his arms and blew the pillow breeze. Tsunade didn't answer, but gave a look, saying that you a whole could understand it for yourself. At first, she was willing to sit in the position of Hokage, purely because of the longing for her 2 grandfathers of Hokage, and the dissatisfaction with the group of old guys headed by Sarutobi Hiruzen. After all, sitting in a chair for more than 10 hours a day signing documents is not suitable for her. Although the matter between Xuan Che and the 2 little vixens became the fuse for detonating the explosives, it was only a matter of time before the explosives exploded. You don't want to be it, but the Uchiha family may turn against it. How about letting me suppress it? Xuan Che aggressively invaded Tsunade's red bow. Tsunade's expression changed abruptly. After all, I have been Hokage for several years. Even if I don't want to, my political level has risen unknowingly. When reminded by Xuan Che, Tsunade immediately realized that if he gave way to Hitaki Shumo or Namikaze Minato during this period, what kind of stimulus will it cause to Uchiha? Even if there is turmoil, it is easy to suppress them, but... Thinking of this, Tsunade gritted his teeth and said, "Forget it, I'll be a while, sympathize with them?" Xuan Che grinned and kissed her cheek a few more times. FK. Going to kiss those 3 foxes, making my old lady drool all over her face. Some Tsunades with Tsunere attributes were immediately rejected. Although Uchiha is Senju's old enemy, but now one has existed in name only, and the other is also on the brink of desperation. There is no such thing as an old enemy. More importantly, Tsunade is soft-hearted. Can you? Then I will. Xuan Che smirked. Screw you. Chapter 149 Uchiha Itachi enrolled. The lifelike Long Aoshin in the original book is absolutely impossible. As long as he is not treated as a monster, it is good. Although Tsunade has ordered that the news that the writing wheel appeared in the eyes of 9 tails that night be completely sealed. But there are so many people who can't help but see too many. The Uchiha clan has basically been equated with the word, evil. If Uchiha experienced the 9 tails change in the original work, the main contradiction lies in the high level of Konoha. So now, it is the people, and this is often the most troublesome. After all, there are only a few high-level people. Speaking in an unpleasant direction, as long as you kill them all, you can basically solve the problem by 80%. But people, that is calculated in units of 100,000. Can you kill all these people by killing them? If you can elect a Hokage that Konoha and Uchiha both recognize, that would be great. Lin Nohara, who works as a secretary in Tsunade's office, puts forward her own ideas. The purpose of Uchiha Madara Black and Obito has been achieved. There is no need to attack Lin anymore, because she doesn't need to run behind Xuan Che's leather thighs like she used to want to be a worm. And there are 3 more little vixens. No, after 3 little secretaries, the burden on Tsunade's shoulders has also been reduced a lot. At least it won't be the same as before. Tenten put the words, "I don't want to do it anymore, who loves this Hokage," and so on. Tsunade's eyes condensed slightly when he heard the words. Nohara Lin's method makes sense, and it sounds simple. But the difficulty of doing it is another matter. It's the same as many people say to quit traditional crafts. What Tenten said, how many people really gave up that life in the end? First of all, the Hokage that Uchiha agrees with is definitely born in the Uchiha clan, and no other ninja or commoner background will work. And Uchiha Fugaku is no longer possible, and it is difficult for him to break through at that age. You can only choose the next generation, Uchiha Shisui? Or Uchiha Itachi. Advertisement one is 11 years old and the other is 6 years old. Not to mention whether they have the qualifications in the future, but it will take at least 10 or 20 years to wait. Anyway, the 5th Hokage Uchiha clan is out of play, and the 6th generation might still be able to fight for it. But during the election of 5th generation, can those guys in Uchiha bear it? The thought of this problem makes Tsunade annoying. Forget it, let's do it for a while. When she finds the right time to change, she doesn't bother to continue to manage the mess. Tsunade had never thought about revealing the information that the masked man was Uchiha Obito. But after repeated considerations, it was ultimately nothing. Because the source of this news is Xuan Che's own feeling. At that time, the B*************** D was busy, and he didn't say whether he felt right or wrong. The point is that Uchiha Obito is already dead in the hearts of the public. Say it for yourself, whether you can help the Uchiha clan get rid of this scapegoat for the time being. It is even more likely that the villagers will think that they are trying to justify the Uchiha clan and come up with a dead person to commit the crime. At that time, instead of solving the problem, he made himself inhuman inside and out. She can only count one step at a time now. No one knows. It was less than 3 months after Konoha's 9 tails change. The owner of Rain Shinobi Village has changed. Because Rain Shinobi Village has implemented a closed-door policy, the ninja countries have no knowledge of this. I thought that the principal of Rain Shinobi Village was Hanzo. Hanzo of the Salamander, once nicknamed Demigod, was defeated by another man who called himself God. Are you not a demigod? Then I am completely true, God. Is that the power of Rinnegan? It's amazing. Obito, who had put on a brand new mask, stood by the door frame at the entrance of the highest iron tower of Rain Shinobi Village, squinting at the skinny Nagato and Konan who was talking to him. He also saw the battle of 6 Paths Pain vs Hanzo. For the first time witnessed the power of the same eyes as Sage of 6 Paths. But Obito is not afraid, his Kamui is also a bug skill. Not to mention that both eyes are on him now. Advertisement. Although there is no Danzo, 0 fine flowers. But it is also easy to provoke Hanzo and Yahiko's relationship. Hanzo is a very suspicious person. Obito couldn't help but laugh in his heart. He was such an idiot, and he was fooled. The situation of the Uchiha clan is very dangerous. At this time, a strand of pitcher plant emerged from the wall on the side. The white Zetsu, who originally had only the left half of his body, now has the other half of black Zetsu on the right. It doesn't matter what this world is, only the world of Moon Eye is truly perfect. Obito snorts in Uchiha Madara's voice. Of course he knew how much trouble he had caused the Uchiha clan by controlling 9 tails to attack Konoha. But everything in this world doesn't matter to him. Whether it is a village, a companion, or a family. You can think so. White Zetsu grinned strangely. Obito looked a little impatient. Although Obito is blackened, his brain is a lot brighter than before blackened. It is not in vain that he personally went to Hitaki Xuan Che's house to administer the medicine. Those are the ultimate weapons of the big ninja villages. The current number of people is not enough, and if the time is delayed for too long, it is likely to attract attention. When White Zetsu said the last name, did anyone choose? The best way is to gather 10 main force members and attack them collectively at an appropriate time, before the forces from all sides can react, catch all the 9-tailed beasts. Thank you for reading this story at mtlarchive.com. Your support enables us to keep the site running. He wanted to get out of this dirty thing immediately. Obito's face changed suddenly. Son, Kakuzu, a rebel from Takigi village, wanders away, killing Sasori, the real murderer of 3rd Kazekage, and Orochimaru, one of Sannin. Don't worry, Obito, the first thing you need to do is to gather your companions to expand Akatsuki's organization. The images of that night came to mind from time to time. If he is found out by the other party, he will be dead. Hearing what the black White Zetsu said, he barely calmed down and asked imaginatively. White Zetsu comforted. When can I start catching the tail beasts and implement Project Tasuki no Mi? Black Zetsu also uses a hoarse voice interface. Chapter 150. The fastest graduation record holder in the ninja school, Uchiha Shisui. Enrolled at the age of 5 and graduated that year. Although what awaits him after graduation is the darkest period of life, it can be regarded as a boost for the Uchiha clan. It was faster than Xuan Che and Konoha Sannin graduated in 1 year. Today, another genius has completed his graduation in 1 year. That is Uchiha Itachi. Like Uchiha Shisui, he was dubbed a genius, countless people in the family, to them these 2 younger generations of geniuses. It also has high hopes. There are even many Uchiha people secretly discussing whether Uchiha Shisui or Uchiha Itachi will take over as Hokage in the future. These rumors also flowed into the ears of these 2 geniuses. Uchiha tribe, on a back mountain cliff not far from Nanga Shrine. Shisui and Itachi, who just got the forehead protector, are sitting here one after another. Hokage. When mentioning this word, Shisui's tone was full of longing and yearning. Itachi, do you want to be Hokage? Itachi's young and mature face raised his brows slightly, and he hesitated for a few seconds before saying. I don't know. So far, I have only done things according to my father's orders. If my father wants me to be, for the family, and the village, I will go. He has already seen the estrangement between the family and the village. If you become Hokage, you can eliminate this contradiction. He is willing to do it. It's a pity, 5th Hokage is not in Uchiha's turn, and 6th generation can still fight for it. Shisui suddenly shook his head and smiled. What do you mean, Shisui? Itachi was puzzled. Shisui did not hide it either, and told Itachi that Tsunade's enthusiasm for Hokage's job had basically been exhausted. If Tsunade-sama abdicates recently, who do you think will succeed him? Shisui raised a question. Master Xuan Che doesn't seem to be interested in the position of Hokage, so, it should be, Konoha's White Fangtooth, Hitaki-sama, or, Golden Glitter, Namikaze Minato, one of them. Itachi replied after thinking for a while. He is not stupid enough to say his father's name. Well, I can't imagine what would happen if Tsunade-sama abdicated and no one in 5th Hokage was born in Uchiha. Looking at the river under the cliff, Shisui sighed. Advertisement, in the worst case, a rebellion might break out, right? This, isn't it? Itachi was obviously taken aback. If 9 Tails hadn't happened, the people would have been dissatisfied at most, but now the situation is different. Shisui smiled bitterly and shook his head. Now that peace is finally won, it would be stupid if war breaks out again because of this kind of thing. Itachi righteously remarked. Is there a way to stop it? Itachi asked again immediately. Shisui pinched his chin and asked after a long thought. Itachi, can you join the police force? Itachi looked slightly startled. The police force, all composed of ninjas from the Uchiha family, is responsible for the daily affairs of the village. It is also a gathering place for most radical ninjas in the Uchiha clan. As soon as Shisui said this, Itachi understood immediately. This is to allow themselves to monitor the radicals of Uchiha. Okay, I get it, Itachi nodded without hesitation. Shisui stretched out his fist to the opponent. You're in the police force, and I'm in Anbu. Just use the power of the 2 of us to prevent the tragedy from happening. Itachi smiled extremely rare, and after nodding his head, stretched out his fist and touched Shisui. Do you think this will solve the problem? A few hours later, Xuan Che, lying on the back of the summoning beast Husky, listened to Shisui's report and asked quietly. Shisui joins Anbu, and is Itachi a police force? It has completely deviated from the original plot, although it doesn't matter. No, can't it? Shisui asked with a bitter face. I have no idea. Xuan Che said that the plot has gone wild, and he, a traverser, can't predict what it will become in the future. The only thing I can do is to suppress the Uchiha rebellion. 0. Advertisement. Xuan Che yawned. He will not be frantically targeted at Uchiha like Danzo. But if Uchiha really embarks on the path of rebellion, then Xuan Che won't be soft-hearted. Shisui's face became more and more ugly, and he said firmly, we will definitely prevent the tragedy from happening. Don't say it so early. The seeds of contradiction between the village and Uchiha were planted decades before you were born. Xuan Che stood up and said, "Let's go." Huh? What? Shisui blinked twice and asked in a puzzled way. "Go to Rain Shinobi Village." "Why are you going to Rain Shinobi Village?" Shisui asked subconsciously. Boom, however, in response to him, he knocked himself in the eye with a horror of Venus. But since they have all stretched their heads out, it was the wrong payment after all. Shisui at the back suddenly showed a husky expression. "Why do you have so many questions? Just follow along." Shisui thought a little narcissistically. However, at this time, Xuan Che poured cold water on Shisui as if he had a mind-reading technique. Thank you for reading this story at mtlarchive.com. Your support enables us to keep the site running. As for him who had been rejected by this organization, he was also very interested in this group of people and decided to join. But Master Xuan Che actually asked me to act with him, really because he has become his confidant, right? Although it is not impossible to fight the future Six Paths Obito, Six Paths Madara or even the old woman Otsutsuki Kagaya. What Xuan Che wanted to do was to go to Rain Shinobi Village to destroy Nagato, or Rinnegan in Uchiha Madara. Xuan Che glanced at the secret letter sent to him by a summoning snake this morning. As long as that thing is ruined, a series of broken things will naturally cease to exist. Don't think too much. Tsunade refuses to let those girls go with me, so I can only ask your kid to run errands. This thing is an important prop for the success of Kaguyu's resurrection of this Millennium Plan. If you don't chop, wouldn't you be sorry for yourself? Orochimaru claimed in the letter that Akatsuki took the initiative to throw solicitations against him. Shisui covered the crayon Shaoshin Sane gourd bag on his head with a grieved expression, shut up and followed Xuan Che. Chapter 151. The country of Rain, Rain Shinobi Village. Although it is not included in the ranks of the 5 great nations, it can survive in the cracks of the Fire Country, the Land Country, and the Wind Country. It is enough to show the tenacity of this country. At the same time, a state policy of completely shutting down the country has been adopted, at least since Hanzo of the Salamander took power. The country of Rain rarely engages in diplomacy with other countries. However, it also reduces the chance of other countries knowing the information of the Rain Country. And the village is in a state of pouring rain all day long as it is named. It's weird. It's cloudy when I come all the way, but it's raining when I'm approaching Rain Shinobi Village. Shisui shook his hair soaked in the rain. Although I heard that the country of Rain is raining all year round, the rain is too sudden, right? Is the Master Yuhu free technique already? It's really troublesome. Xuan Che clearly felt a trace of chakra mixed in the rain. Pain's technique, through the rain, you can detect the unfamiliar chakra entering Rain Shinobi 09 Village's advanced monitoring skills. It is more meticulous than the enchantment of graduation. Because Konoha's barrier can also perceive the unfamiliar chakra, but once you pass through the barrier in a concealed way, you don't need to worry anymore. And Pen's trick is as long as you are still within the rainfall range of Rain Shinobi Village. Then you don't want to escape his surveillance. No way, rely on speed to win. For this trick, Xuan Che can't help it for the time being. His skill points are entirely on the Berserker, and for the assassin skills, there is not the slightest Grandmaster. The moment the voice fell, regardless of whether he would be seen by the patrolling Rain Shinobi, he rushed towards the tallest iron tower in the middle of the village in the distance. He didn't know if it was Pen's base, he only knew that it was once Hanzo's residence. Hey, Mr. Xuan Che, wait for me. Shisui also chased after him, letting the rain hit him. He also attaches great importance to this action. Because on the way from the country of fire to the country of rain, Xuan Che once told himself that the culprit who released 9 tails and put Uchiha on his back was also in Rain Shinobi Village in all likelihood. If you can catch him, you can punish Uchiha's unreasonable charges. This made Shisui instantly energized. If this can solve Uchiha's problem here, he will die. Advertisement of course, Xuan Che only talked to this kid. This time he ran all the way to Rain Shinobi's goal, not Obito but Nagato. As long as the pair of Rinnegan is destroyed, a series of broken things will cease to exist in the future. Inhabited by the chiefs of Rain Shinobi Village, it is like Konoha at the top of the iron tower of the Hokage building. Only in his early 20s, Conan, whose facial features are still somewhat immature compared to the glamorous future, walked from the back to the shoulders of Heavenly Dao Pain, reporting. An intruder broke in. You don't need Pain's perception, Rain Shinobi under him has already reported. It is said that 2 unknown persons raided and were advancing towards the tower. Anything that blocks them will be killed. Tian Dao Pain closed his eyes. After a few seconds, they opened the pair of Rinnegan slowly. Ms. Jiraiya's companion, Hitaki Xuan Che, and the other one is from the Uchiha family. Tian Dao Pain's face was cold, and he said without a trace of a living voice. In Conan's mind, the scene of their first meeting with each other at the end of the Second Ninja War 10 years ago suddenly appeared. Is he? There are rumors in the ninja world now that he is comparable to first Hokage Senju Hashirama and Uchiha Madara. Conan now is not as confident in Nagato's strength as in the future. She had just experienced the pain of Yahiko's death not long ago, and she was still a bit imaginary to face the famous Xuan Che in the ninja world. Why would he know about the situation here? Is there a Konoha spy in Rain Shinobi Village? Conan immediately thought of another question. It doesn't matter, any question can be answered as long as you catch it. Nagato, who has mastered the power of 6 paths, is infinitely confident. However, he could easily kill Hanzo of the Salamander, who had been unbeaten in the combined attack against Konoha Sanin. He does have the capital to be proud, don't fight him. At this moment, in the shadow behind, the masked man Obito walked out slowly, saying coldly. You are not his opponent now. If you lose you at this time, it will be very troublesome. Advertisement Tiandao Pain turned his head to look at the other party, and asked back after a few seconds of silence. Do you think I will fail? Mr. Madara. Although the honorific name was used on Janba, the slightest respect was not felt in the cold tone of Heavenly Way Pain. Nagato is not afraid of Uchiha Madara, but because the other party knows a lot of things he doesn't know, and can provide security for his peace plan and other reasons. That's why I will cooperate with each other. Strictly speaking, the two parties are just using each other, not a subordinate relationship. Akatsuki's plan has just begun. Are you so impatient to kill our plan in the cradle? Obito returned back mercilessly. With both eyes Mangekyo on him, double Kamui plus Susanoo and a series of plugins, Obito has only Jonin in overall physical fitness. But it was enough to beat cage level. Suddenly, there was a whistling and cutting sound. In the next second, the three people present only felt the entire ground under their feet skewed. Conan saw the face he hadn't seen in 10 years again. Boom, look in the direction where the ridicule came from. Maybe they will be overcast by him. Conan has no time to talk to Xuan Che. When she turned her head to look back, the main iron tower is divided into two from the middle, which is cut open. Is holding a knife. Little Sister Angel is out. As soon as his wings spread, he quickly rushed into the top of the tower that was about to fall. Conan immediately gave birth to a pair of wings with paper and flew out of the gate. The whole person was stunned, just when the two eyes were indifferent to each other. Even if it's super cage level, before I figure out his specific abilities, Kamui. Chapter 152 The biggest weakness of Pen 6 Paths is that Nagato as the main body cannot be too far away from it. And the body basically has no combat effectiveness. Although the original intention Rinnegan's own coercion is enough to crush enemies below cage level with his killing intent, causing his mental breakdown. But if the opponent has the strength above this, or is a spiritual master, it is dangerous. Therefore Conan will hardly leave Nagato as the main body. It is not so much God's messenger, but rather, God's bodyguard. At this moment, Nagato, as the main body, is located at the highest point of the tower. If you don't save people now, Nagato will fall with the top of the tower. Thank you for leading me, little sister angel. Xuan Che smiled slightly. Shunpo stepped in the air, making a boom, foot pedal sound. While catching up with Conan, he said to Shisui below. Go and do what you want, don't die. The three-hook jade in Shisui's eyes reflected in his pupils. Although he didn't have the cool skills of Shunpo Dekong, he ran upwards far faster than his peers when he stepped on the wall of the iron tower. I can feel. With the addition of Master First Hokage's cells in my body, I can feel your presence. Shisui's Sharingan looked eagerly, locked up firmly. In this gap, Obito has jumped out of the top room of the split iron tower, squinting towards Xuan Che who is chasing Conan flying into the sky. While endless hatred flashed in his eyes, he secretly said in his heart. The goal is Conan? No, it's Nagato in all likelihood. Although he doesn't like that guy very much, but if something happens to Nagato, then Project Tasuki no Mi will be completely ruined. Absolutely, you go? Obito speaks to Ju through telepathy. Wood-style the Sea of Trees has a birthday. When Shisui shot, it was his current master's wood-style's strongest technique. A weakened version of the birth of the tree world. But even so, there's the power of ill-level ninjutsu. The violent trees and vines are growing at an extremely exaggerated speed, only 5 or 6 seconds before and after. It turned this steel building with only 2/3 of its height into a tree-shaded building. Shisui jumped to the top of the vault. I witnessed that the masked man's body seemed transparent, passing through the forest branches he made. Advertisement, sure enough, as Mr. Minato said, the weird time-space ninjutsu that penetrates objects. 3 Tomo Sharingan in Shisui's eyes flashed with fear, but more of anger and irritation. He shouted sharply. Why frame Uchiha? There are not many things that can make him angry. And there is one right now. That is the black pot buckled on Uchiha's back. Because of 9 tails, Uchiha is now in Konoha's situation. There is only one step away from the cross-street rat. It doesn't matter what this waste-making world becomes, whether it's Uchiha, Konoha, or the entire ninja world. Obito spread his hands and sneered. But Shisui can develop wood style to such an extent, it is really surprising. Obito once knew from Madara that Senju Hashirama's cells are an excellent medicine for the side effects of Mangekyo. Owners of Mangekyo Sharingan who have transplanted Hashirama cells hardly have to bear the side effects of Mangekyo. If the boy awakened Mangekyo in front of him, coupled with his fusion with Hashirama cells so perfect. I'm afraid it is a trouble. Get rid of you now. Thinking of this, Obito has decided to eradicate Shisui here. The pupil of the left eye is activated. A twisted black hole appeared in the center of Obito's body, and he kept pulling him inside. Use Kamui from the beginning, However, as soon as he used Kamui, Obito noticed something was wrong. Sure enough, when Kamui was about to tear Shisui apart, it was discovered that Shisui's skin quickly wooded, transforming into a wooden golem. Wood-style stand-in. Obito was taken aback. Ed. Idiot. You hate this world so much, then why don't you die? At this time, another Shisui rushed out from the back, making seals with both hands extremely fast. But the target is not the masked man himself, but the large forests around him. Fire-style dragon fire technique. Roar, advertisement. The fire dragon head spit out from the mouth violently slammed into the forest below. In an instant, the entire iron tower wrapped in wooden vines was ignited. For a time, the residents of Rain Shinobi Village saw that the fire tower, which symbolized the highest power of Rain Shinobi Village, was burning wildly. All of them were shocked and dumbfounded. Backquote, what's going on? The tower is burning. Fight the fire. Fight the fire. It's not over yet. Wind style. Gale. Shisui, who hasn't landed yet, changed G in again and increased his burning effort with wind style. Compared with just now, the flames surrounding the entire iron tower have increased several times more vigorously. At this time, Shisui fell from midair. Shisui's pupils suddenly shrank. Have you put too much attention on ninjutsu, but forgot Uchiha's shuriken technique? It seems that although you are also born in Uchiha, you don't have a good face like Kumo? In the next instant, two silk threads passed around him, circling around and directly bound his body. Obito was taken aback. Even with the support of Hashirama cells and continuous use of so much power to attack ninjutsu, it can't help but feel a little frustrated. It's over. Wood-style wooden gun technique. The talent is very high, and the Hashirama cells are integrated. If you don't get rid of a guy like you, you will become a big trouble in the future. Obito, no. The voice of Uchiha Madara sounded like a ghost in Shisui's head. Thank you for reading this story at mtlarchive.com. Your support enables us to keep the site running. Shisui said to himself. When Obito said this, his hand was less than 1 centimeter away from Shisui's head. Shisui sneered. I figured out another thing. Your body will become materialized when you arrest someone. Uchiha Flow's Shadow Shuriken technique. You can't just die like this, but you have to catch that guy and go back for interrogation to prove Uchiha's innocence. When Shisui turned his head to look around, he saw the opponent standing behind him, Nuo Lee's, almost zero distance, grabbing one hand towards him. Don't worry, if you want to kill me, you are still a bit worse. Suddenly, Obito noticed a dim light gleaming around his body. It's now. Chapter 153. It was chopped off by Xuan Che, and the positive pole fell quickly to the top of the iron tower on the ground. Conan turned his head to look at Xuan Che, who was chasing him quickly. This guy. Although very annoyed, there is no time to take care of other things now, so I have to rescue Nagato quickly. Universal pull. At this time, Tiandao Pain jumped out of the top of the falling iron tower. The palm exuded a strong attraction and pulled Xuan Che toward his outstretched palm. Isn't it the trick to suck people over? Then you can suck and watch this. Feeling the pulling force, Xuan Che smiled badly and waved his knife at will, cutting out a screaming black flame and blasting towards the sky. Shen Luo Tianzheng. Seeing that He Yan was about to hit him, Pen's pupil shrank suddenly and changed his attack. Before he let He Yan hit him, he broke it up with repulsive force. Your 5-second interval is too tasteless. In other words, you relied too much on Rinnegan's ability. The high temperature of Zanpakuto is concentrated on the tip of the knife. Xuan Che shot out with a sudden thrust. Wizard. Tiandao Pain's eyes suddenly tightened. There are still 3 seconds left until the cooling time is complete. Unable to use Rinnegan's ability to record, can only avoid. Puff. In the next instant, Tiandao Pain had an extra hole the size of a tennis ball on his left shoulder. Taking advantage of this gap, Conan flew back to the floor 1 step earlier than Xuan Che. Not 2 seconds. Rumbling, the top of the iron tower cut down by Xuan Che hits between the two houses below. Sure enough, it's not that simple. Xuan Che also jumped into it, then looked at the scene in front of him, couldn't help but shook his head and sighed. The chakra instrument dedicated to the Six Paths body, together with the Nagato, has been completely wrapped in the same type of nepenthes. Fully integrated into the land. The two perverts, both black and white, took away the Nagato body 1 step faster than Conan. What are you doing? I am responsible for protecting Nagato. Advertisement, Conan yelled, but no one answered him anymore. Even Tiandao Pen, who was hit by Xuan Che just now, did not lose his fighting ability. Suddenly collapsed to the ground. Obviously, this is because Nagato, as the main body, has lost consciousness first and cannot control Pen. Conan turned around angrily and stared at Xuan Che fiercely. Don't judge me too much, Sister Conan, I didn't do anything, although to be precise, it is too late to do anything. Looking at the new Conan, who was not at all gentle and temperamental 10 years ago, Xuan Che couldn't help but tease. Huh, I'm not your opponent, what do you want to do with me? Conan shouted angrily. This question is about Xuan Che. His goal here is only to destroy Rinnegan in Nagato. But now it seems that this plan ended in failure. But Conan was caught by accident, so, what should I do with this girl? It can only be this way. Xuan Che stepped forward and suddenly used the bottom of Zanpakuto's knife handle to touch Conan's brow. Everything came too suddenly. Conan didn't even react, he felt his eyebrows click. You, what did you do? Conan covered his eyebrows with his right hand and asked vigilantly. The imprint of the soul, with that thing, you can detect your movements. Xuan Che completely retracted Zanpakuto's scabbard, so there should be a chance next time. Do you want Nagato's eyes too? Conan glared at Xuan Che fiercely. She knows the value of Nagato's Rinnegan. Even suspect that the self-proclaimed Uchiha Madara is also holding this abacus. That's why Conan will protect the other party every step of the way. First of all, I am not interested in that kid's circled eyes, and secondly, those eyes are not his. Just like 10 years ago, after devastating Conan's rare dark blue short hair, Xuan Che turned his head and walked away. You won't catch me. Not thinking about tidying up the hair that Xuan Che grabbed like a chicken coop, Conan looked at Xuan Che's back in confusion. Advertisement: if you take you away, they won't come to pick you up, although now I suspect that they have abandoned you. Xuan Che said without covering up. The soul mark should be able to protect Conan. This woman who has lived for 2 companions all her life and finally died away. Xuan Che is still quite sympathetic. Abandoned. Conan looked confused, looked down at his toes and muttered to himself. Hey, looking at the entire Hokage world, I am afraid there are only a handful of Tsunade, Terumi-mei, etc. who can't see their toes when they lower their heads. Like Haruno Sakura, let alone the toes, I'm afraid you can see the ankles. Ha. 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 Xuan Che just walked out of the fault of the Iron Tower. Shisui was falling down in front of him in embarrassment, kneeling on the ground with both hands on the ground, gasping for breath. He ran away. Seeing what Shisui looked like, Xuan Che almost guessed the result. Although, I almost figured out the principles of his spacetime ninjutsu, but it is still too reluctant to deal with. Shisui endured the severe pain from the wound on his body and barely got up and said, If I can be stronger. Master Xuan Che, do you know where that guy will escape next? Shisui bit her lip unwillingly. Do I know I still need to stand stupidly here? I've caught up long ago. Xuan Che rolled his eyes at the fool. Shisui was stunned, and a few seconds later, she shed tears unwillingly. Xuan Che said your kid is too exaggerated, right? Actually lost the golden beans, but when you think about it, there is nothing wrong with it. After all, if you succeed in catching Obito, you can completely remove the black pot on Uchiha's back during the Nine Tails incident. This time I failed, who knows when there will be another chance next time. No Konoha. Xuan Che said that he would not comfort people very much, and he would not lose the gentleness of this kid, which is already ultimate. Shisui followed Xuan Che silently while wiping tears with his sleeves. You can come to me when there is no way to go, goodbye. When passing by Conan's shoulder, Xuan Che left one last word in her ear. Chapter 154. Here it is. The skinny Nagato woke up again from his coma, and his blurred vision gradually became clear as he recovered. I told you not to rush to fight that man, otherwise things won't turn out like this. When Nagato's vision was completely clear, he saw the masked man standing in front of him, his arms crossed and his arms around Hun Dao. This is Kirigakure. Don't worry, 4th Mazuka Jigura has been controlled by my pupils. Nagato gritted his teeth secretly, and the sense of accomplishment that had been easy to kill Hanzo was completely destroyed. Suddenly discovering that the figure who accompanies me every day is not there, frowning and asking. Where is Conan? It's a pity, I don't have time to save her. Obito, as always, said in Madara's language indifferently. What a joke. Go and save her immediately, Nagato roared. Conan is the only bottom line for him. Adhering to Yahiko's regrets, he must not put Conan in danger. Well, calm down, Nagato. After Ju got out of the wall next to him, White Zetsu spoke. The latest information, Hitaki Xuan Che did not take Conan away, but stayed in range Shinobi Village. Nagato was surprised. He thought Conan would definitely be taken away by Xuan Che, so he was so anxious just now. However, the current state of affairs is completely contrary to your own imagination? In Nagato's view, this is a pie in the sky. I'm afraid it's bait. Obito said coldly. Put Conan deliberately in range Shinobi Village, and then wait for us to return to meet, and finally find us along the way. Listen to you, don't you plan to take Conan? Nagato's tone became more and more indifferent. In his opinion, this is a good time to pick up Conan. Is this guy actually opposed? If Madara dared to say no, Nagato absolutely chose to turn his face with him immediately. I mean, I can take this opportunity to get Conan out of the dangerous organization Akatsuki. However, Obito, who inherited the Uchiha Madara da fudge technique, is obviously not so naive. Advertisement. A single sentence crippled Nagato. When Nagato heard the words, his expression was stagnant, and he asked in doubt, what do you mean? After all, the kind of thing we will do in the future to catch the tail beast is accompanied by great risks. Since Conan is so important to you, you don't want her to be involved in such a dangerous thing, do you? Obito's expression showed a sinister smile behind the mask, and continued to flicker. Just let her stay in range Shinobi Village safely. We will do the dangerous things. You will be responsible for your transfer. How about? For a moment, Nagato fell silent. Obito saw it through at a glance. He was already moved. Obito doesn't believe that Xuan Che, an old fried dough stick, will be so kind to put Conan. Definitely left behind. He is not willing to take this risk. But right now, I can't turn my face with Nagato. I can only fool him first. Think about it slowly. I'll take care of other things first. Obito turned and left the secret room. As soon as he stepped out of the door, a white avatar of White Zetsu chased up from his feet and asked. What are you going to do, Obito? Pay attention to your title, White Zetsu. Obito frowned and drank, obviously disliked the other person calling himself Obito. Okay, Master Madara, what are you going to do next? The White Zetsu clone apologized insincerely, Obito didn't bother to continue to care about, and then he said with a cold snort. Conan absolutely doesn't need it, and Nagato is a bit unheard of. After using him this morning, just discard it. White Zetsu smirked and said, that won't work. His ultimate mission is to use Rinne Tensai technique to resurrect the real life. Before that, he can't die. Obito did not refute White Zetsu's words, but thought coldly in his heart. To become 10 Tails Jinchuriki and complete Project Tsuki no Mi, why bother to be the real Madara? Halfway through, Obito remembered the previous battle again. A Uchiha kid who was only 12 years old actually made himself feel pressured. Uchiha. You can also include them on the list of obstacles to the plan. 0 Find flowers. Konoha village, the back mountain of the Uchiha tribe. Advertisement. A mysterious Uchiha ninja who uses space-time ninjutsu. Itachi was surprised to hear about the masked man from Shisui. Well, that guy who liberated 9 Tails that night a year ago and put Uchiha on his back. Having said that, Shisui unwillingly slammed his punch on the lawn, and his teeth were itchy with hatred. If you catch him, you can restore Uchiha's innocence, but his time and space ninjutsu is too troublesome. Itachi looked mature and said, even if you tell this explanation to other people in the village, it's useless. Unless you get the person back, it won't work on Uchiha's grievance, but it will backfire. 0. Yes. Shisui nodded solemnly, squeezing his fists. Next time, I must catch him. By the way, Itachi, it seems that I haven't seen the patriarch recently? Shisui suddenly thought of a question and asked. Itachi looked slightly stagnant and then nodded. I also think it's weird. Master Xuan Che, the one who nearly killed Master Kushina, is it really, Obito? While Tsunade was not paying attention, Yi Yuan Lin secretly ran to Xuan Che's training ground and asked quietly. Xuan Che is a little speechless. How can this be like stealing Qing? You want to ask honestly at home. What? You still want to explain to him the cause and effect of that incident? Xuan Che asked rhetorically. Recalling that night, Lin Nohara's pre-face flushed with shame. Nohara Lin twitched. That was just an accident. Then you mean you don't like it? Xuan Che asked again. No, it's not. Nohara Lin was anxious, and she subconsciously shouted out without holding back. Then I saw Xuan Che's mocking smile. Yi Yuan Lin blushed like a kettle, and she was ashamed and angry with her small fists. Too bully. Xuan Che took the other side's small fist in one hand, expressing that he wants you to revisit the feeling of the night. Son. Chapter 155. Konoha 51 years. The Xiaoqiangs have entered the age of 3 years. For the children of the 9th clan, this year is an extremely important watershed. Because from the age of 3, you can almost begin to practice chakra cohesion. As the son of the chief of the intelligence department, Naruto can also be regarded as a shinobi second generation. I also started to study chakra with myself now alive. But I don't know if half of the 9 Tails chakra is messed up, or because Ashura reincarnated with stupid attribute bonuses. Every time I practice ninjutsu, Kushina's angry hair wants to hit people, while Namikaze Minato next to him smiles bitterly. Today, after dinner, it's another day to learn to condense chakra. Under the guidance of his parents, Naruto puts his hands together to form a seal. While trying to condense the chakra, he kept making a sound in his mouth. After about half a minute, puff, accompanied by the peculiar smell, an unusually harsh sound came to the couple's ears. 2 seconds later, brother, come here, how did my old lady teach you? Kushina had red hair without any wind, and furiously rushed towards Naruto. Namikaze Minato hurriedly stopped him from behind, repeatedly discouraging him. Kushina, calm down, the child is still young. Naruto was also scared to death by the state of his mother's blood red pepper, and turned the window without saying a word. You can't be alone in Konoha streets in winter. Naruto lingered in his heart and said to herself. Just because of a fart, I became so angry. As Shikamaru said, my mother is the most terrifying creature. Monsters of the Uchiha clan. Suddenly, the noise from the front attracted Naruto's attention. Run to see. Headed by a fat child, many children of his own age were pointing at the boy with short black hair in the middle, posing disgusting or mocking expressions, mocking and insulting him. And the black-haired child was obviously angry to ultimate, and the skin of his tightly squeezed fists was already showing blue veins. Advertisement. It seems to be on the verge of an outbreak. However, he still suppressed this anger in his heart after all. Because my father and brother said it. No matter how insulted by other people in the village, he can't do it. Hey, you guys, why are you bullying people? However, at this moment, in Sasuke's eyes, a yellow hair rushed up and pointed to the group of kids opposite. Who are you? Sasuke was taken aback and asked subconsciously. Inside, there was a strange wave of fluctuations. This is the first time someone has come forward for himself. My name is Uzumaki Naruto. I will become Hokage's man in the future. Naruto listed the big white fang and said. Then he pointed to Sasuke again, and said in a contemptuous but not malicious tone. It's useless to say you guys, these guys say that to you, don't you fight back? It's really useless. What do you know? Sasuke was unwilling to shout. But the advice of father and brother came to mind again. He gritted his teeth and swallowed the words ascended to the throat again. Are you going to get along with Uchiha's monsters, yellow hair? The fat boy led by shouted. Although I also want to have the same red hair as my mother, but if you dare to say that, I will never forgive me, take it. Not yet condensed chakras. Naruto directly rushed up with a set of wamba punches. The huge difference in body size caused him to be knocked to the ground immediately, being pushed under by the little fat guy, and curiously asked Sasuke for help. Hey, you fellow, watching me get beaten? Come and help? When Sasuke saw his virtue, he thought to himself. I don't know why, I feel a lot more relaxed. Without thinking anymore, he rushed forward and punched the little fat man away. He has learned to condense chakra initially, and his fist is close to an adult. Go! Naruto leapt to the ground and climbed up, as if he was the one who hit the opponent, and pounced on the little fat man with another set of punches. Seeing this, the other little ghosts rushed forward. A group of ridiculous little ghosts, in the eyes of adults, was staged. Advertisement. But when one of the kids saw a ping-pong racket logo printed on the back of his clothes 0. Many ninjas realized that this matter may be a little troublesome. In the distance, 2 pairs of eyes were also quietly looking at this scene. Swap over. It really becomes like this. Xuan Che recalled Naruto's description of the relationship between him and Sasuke in the original work and sighed. Isn't Sasuke's current situation the original Naruto? Although not so exaggerated, it can be considered a weakened version. What do you mean? Mr. Xuan Che, next to him, Hyuga Hinata, who was as cute as a porcelain doll, blinked curiously and asked. It's too cumbersome to explain, you will understand when you grow up. Xuan Che squeezed her cheek, it feels good in the hand. Oh, little Hinata nodded seemingly. Like Naruto, she was too late to condense chakra, and was blamed by her father. After several consecutive times, I finally couldn't help crying and ran out of the house. It's just that I didn't meet those little ghosts who bullied her in the original book. Instead, he was bumped into by Xuan Che. Xuan Che plans to bring this girl to Tsunade to teach. It's definitely not because this girl called herself Oniken when she met for the first time. Does this kind of mess still need me to deal with it? A few hours later, in Hokage's office, when Tsunade saw a report about a gang fight between the son of the chief Uchiha and the son of the Minister of Intelligence and a group of civilian heirs, he couldn't help but shouted frantically. A group of little ghosts fighting such a mess, still come to ask yourself? So when 2 dogs fight at the entrance of the village tomorrow, do you have to bother yourself? The temperament gradually leaned towards Oni-san. Ryuhong smiled helplessly. No way, Tsunade-sama. The Fugaku-sama and Minato-sama are involved, and you know, Uchiha is very special. It's so annoying. Tsunade scratched his head in distress. In the end, the choice is not to favor any party, and whoever takes the initiative is responsible. So, in the night at Namikaze's house, there was a crisp crackling sound in the cry of Uzumaki Naruto. Chapter 156. Woohoo! That night, Naruto of the red skin cried bitterly while hugging the pillow. Kushina in the living room shook her hand and muttered, the beater hurts her hand. Namikaze Minato smiled bitterly and said inwardly, sorry, Naruto, Dad can't stop it. But with Naruto's big nerves, it's almost impossible to recover the next day. Compared with Naruto, who was blown up, Sasuke's punishment is much more violent than cold. Father Uchiha Fugaku banned him from dinner tonight and stayed for a full month. Gurulu, it was almost late at night, and Sasuke had no idea how many times he was awakened by hunger. Could not fall asleep, Sasuke muttered to himself grievingly, clutching his stomach. Sasuke, Sasuke. At this time, a soft call came into the ear. When Sasuke looked in the direction of the sound, no one was found, only a plate of his favorite tomato risotto was placed at the door. Nissan. 09 Sasuke smiled, took a spoon next to the plate and feasted on it. Don't blame my father, he also has his own difficulties. At this time, Itachi's voice came from the other side of the door again. Nissan. Why do people in the village target Uchiha? Sasuke stopped eating and asked this question that had troubled him for a long time. Brother, you will definitely solve it, don't worry. After a short silence, Itachi did not give a positive answer, but just passed it ambiguously. After that, there was no more movement. Although you know you like young people, it's too young, right? You pervert. When he saw Xuan Che bring Hinata back, Tsunade looked at Xuan Che directly with his eyes looking at the maggots in the toilet. Over the years, regarding Xuan Che and the 3 foxes, she has already closed one eye. Anyway, this product is pretty regular, at least it doesn't do anything unusual in its visual range. Advertisement behind the scenes, without seeing him, Tsunade didn't bother to care about what this big pig's hoof wanted to do. However, if this B*************** D wants to be with the 3 vixens, no way. However, when he saw Hinata, Tsunade was still irritated. Don't you men all like 18s? Now that the 3 foxes are exactly this age, you have already begun to train the next generation? You filthy demon king, accumulate some morals. I'm just sending you a disciple. Xuan Che rewarded Tsunade in an angry manner. Please advise, Master Hokage. Hinata's white eyes were full of longing and bowed to Tsunade. Tisk. I wonder if I was touched by the porcelain doll-like girl in front of me to the motherhood in my heart. Tsunade felt soft, sitting cross-legged on the tatami and asked. Have you learned to condense chakra? Hinata's little red face instantly turned white, lowered her head and twisted and said. Also, not yet. Tsunade scratched his head and he has to start from scratch. Rain Shinobi Village, in the top room of the reconstructed leader tower. Xuan Che met Konan again after 3 years. She is still wearing a red cloud uniform with a black background, and her identity is the Lord Angel, who leads Rain Shinobi Village. But because God no longer exists, she also doesn't have the nickname, God's Messenger. Compared to 3 years ago, it still showed a slightly green taste, and the temperament is now even more glamorous. Right below the powder, there is still a nail. What are you doing with this stuff? Aren't you afraid of drinking water leaking? Xuan Che reached out and touched Conan's nails, rather dissatisfied. Not worthy of your style. Speak straight. Conan slapped Xuan Che off the pig's hooves that Xuan Che had pressed down. In front of this nasty man, she always couldn't contain her emotions. The two Uchiha duo, Uchiha Shisui and Uchiha Itachi, followed Xuan Che. After hearing that Xuan Che was coming to Rain Shinobi Village, the two men strongly requested to follow. It's been 3 years, it seems they have abandoned you. Advertisement. Xuan Che sat on the place once belonged to Heavenly Dao Pain, resting his cheek with one hand. Conan retorted speechlessly, but secretly squeezed his fist, twisted his eyebrows a few seconds later and asked. Nagato. Is he still alive? I want to know too, but those people still need his Rinnegan's ability, so there should be nothing in the short term. Xuan Che was also a little surprised at Obito's decisive abandonment of Conan, a quasi-cage level shooter. But after thinking about it, it's not surprising. Now both eyes of Kamui are on him, and the Hashirama cells in the body can be used to eliminate the side effects of Mangekyo. In many cases, you can do it yourself. Conan is basically not a combat power. It has also become dispensable. It looks like nothing happened this time. Xuan Che turned his head and turned to Shisui and Itachi. The two of them hung their heads, their faces full of regret and loss. However, the guy Nagato didn't take the initiative to come to you. I'm afraid I don't want you to join that organization anymore, right? Xuan Che said it, making Conan look slightly startled. If there is a rebellion, he will not destroy the entire Uchiha family frantically, nor will he harm the innocent. That guy is crazy, and his neurotic actions are unpredictable. Thank you for reading this story at mtlarchive.com. Your support enables us to keep the site running. Xuan Che stood up and patted Conan on the shoulder. Be your Rain Shinobi leader, little sister angel. Conan looked at Xuan Che's away back, with complex expressions. A few seconds later, Xuan Che gave his biggest concession. I'm afraid Uchiha can't sit still before that. Itachi was speechless. But you don't need to be in a hurry, the neurosis can't be quiet, he will take the initiative to jump out sooner or later. But for the participants, he will never show mercy. Xuan Che smiled and said, he knew that if there was a turmoil, his father, who was the patriarch, would definitely not be able to run away. I only target those who initiate the rebellion. In the end, I found nothing. Master Xuan Che, is there really no other way to find the other party? But I think this judgment is very wise. With your strength, among those freaks, it's not very good. Half a minute later, he took the red cloud uniform with a black background on his body and put on an ordinary black suit. Itachi shook his head pessimistically. Shisui, who followed behind, asked unwillingly. Chapter 157. Konoha 54 years. Rock Lee, Hyuga Neji, and Tenten have been enrolled in the ninja school for a year. The remaining 9 Shaoqiangs, headed by Uzumaki Naruto, Uchiha Sasuke and others, are also preparing to officially enter the school. In this peaceful era, there are basically no students who graduate early. Not only is it easy to indulge in a comfortable environment, also because there are not too many tasks that require ninjas to participate in. As expected of my child, your Sharingan is becoming more and more proficient. The night before the formal enrollment, Sasuke, who was very nervous about the upcoming school life, got up in the middle of the night and wanted to go to the bathroom, but he heard the praise from his father in the guest room. Through the candlelight silhouette, we can see my brother and father sitting opposite each other. In the face of his father's compliment, the brother said nothing. Obviously, I really want to hear my father compliment him, I really deserve to be my child. But is this sentence an ordinary word for my brother? Sasuke thought bitterly inside. However, at this moment, his father's compliment sounded a bit harsh to Itachi. His Sharingan was awakened when he encountered a mysterious face and his army was wiped out when he was out on a mission. Instead of regretting the death of his companion, his father was excited about opening Sharingan for himself. This made Itachi very disgusted, and it was the masked man that made Itachi feel even more regretful. It is very likely that Master Shisui and Xuan Che said that the liberation of Nine Tails 6 years ago put Uchiha on the back of the culprit. However, in front of his pupil power, he would be so powerless. Although for some reason, he actually let himself go. But Itachi still regretted that he had missed this golden opportunity. Suddenly noticed a faint noise coming from outside the door. The eyebrows under Itachi's bangs raised slightly. Sasuke, go to the bathroom, and go back to sleep. Sasuke outside the door and Uchiha Fugaku on the opposite side were both surprised. Yes. After Sasuke responded, quickly trot back to the room. After a short silence, Uchiha Fugaku said again, I plan to recommend you to join Anbu. Hearing this, Itachi's eyes changed slightly, but he hid it well, and asked rhetorically. Am I not doing well enough in the police force? No, it's not, it's just that you did a great job. Uchiha Fugaku shook his head, then said, advertisement. So I think Anbu is more able to use your talents and... Having said that, Uchiha Fugaku paused for a short time, and then said again after a few seconds. That is Hokage's direct troops, if you can join. It will be good and harmless for the future of our clan. Let yourself use Anbu's position to monitor the actions of the Hokage faction? Itachi vaguely guessed his father's abacus, bowed his head and said. Understand, I will work hard. Uchiha Fugaku nodded in satisfaction. Itachi, you want to be a bridge between the family and the village. The next day, Uchiha Fugaku led Sasuke to the ninja school. Originally, he planned to go to the administration building to meet Tsunade in person, and recommended his eldest son to join Anbu. But under the strong request of Itachi, he took his youngest son to the entrance ceremony. And when I saw the father and son coming, other parents and students around, all evaded. Unnatural emotions such as anger and fear were revealed in his eyes. Here again, the look in these people's eyes. Sasuke gritted his teeth secretly. Yo, you guy is here too. Suddenly, a slap was slapped on Sasuke's back, and he was caught off guard and almost fell. Sasuke turned to look, furious. It's you again. Uzumaki Naruto, this guy is like his natural enemy, but there is absolutely nothing good to meet with this guy. Hey, the first day of enrollment, I had a bitter face. It must be that my admission grades are too bad, right? Naruto said heartlessly. I am the number 1 in the entrance exam. Sasuke responded. Naruto suddenly froze. Although he is not the crane tail in the original book, it is because Nine Tails chakra will interfere with his normal chakra. The score is only at the middle and lower level, which belongs to the low score drifting. Achievement is not everything, there is a kind of fight. Naruto shouted. Hit it, who is afraid of you? Sasuke rolled up his sleeves, and the two wanted to do it. Advertisement however, they were held back by their respective fathers. Uchiha Fugaku drank low. Sasuke, enough, it's rude, Naruto. Namikaze Minato reluctantly took her son by the shoulder, bowed and apologized. Sorry, Inazi is rude, Chief Fugaku. The Minister of Intelligence, you bow to me, I can't stand it, Master Minato. Uchiha Fugaku's tone revealed a slight barrier. Backquote this, you're too praised. The hot face was pressed against the cold skin, and Namikaze Minato scratched his face in embarrassment. The son of Clan Chief Uchiha and the Minister of Intelligence, I feel that this year is full of troublesome figures. Shikamaru yawned. Akamichi Choji next to him chewed on the potato chips and said in a low voice, Dad said don't go too close to Uchiha, it's dangerous. It's such a coincidence? Your father said that too? It's a pity that Ino turned his eyes to look at it, he wanted to meet him. So handsome. It's Sasuke-kun. The only commoner in this session of Shaokyang, with pink eyes, looked at Sasuke who was struggling with Naruto. I don't know why a group of officials from second generation mixed in with a civilian background. Master Hokage is here, at this moment, I don't know who shouted. Under the admiration of countless people, Tsunade walked up impatiently and murmured, Nuo Lihao, in his mouth. I always come here to say the same thing every year at the beginning of school. How did Sarutobi never die back then? So pretty, Hokage-sama, she is the strongest medical ninja today. Ino shouted in admiration. It would be great if I could learn ninjutsu with Tsunade-sama. Haruno Sakura also turned his attention away from Sasuke very rarely, yearning for it. Hinata, who had been quiet next to him, blinked and turned to look for another figure. But after looking around for a while, I didn't see it, and the white pearl seemed to flash a ray of loss in his eyes. In Hokage's office, Xuan Che's gaze was hovering between Uchiha Itachi in front of him and his application for transfer to Anbu in his hand. He didn't know if he was talking to himself, or he was talking to Uchiha Itachi. Will a dead mouse bite a cat? Chapter 158 Uchiha Fugaku's mind to transfer the eldest son from the police force to Anbu is too easy to guess. Anbu is a direct unit of Hokage. If his son is in it, it is more convenient to monitor the Hokage faction or obtain high-level confidential information. As for why he didn't directly find Shisui, who has been working in Anbu for many years, Xuan Che can only come to the reason that he doesn't believe in Uchiha Shisui. Does the patriarch don't trust me? It's no wonder, after all, I was rescued by Master Hokage and Master Xuan Che from Root's base. Although Shisui next to him could understand, he still couldn't help feeling bitter. In these years, in order to wash away the grievances of the family, it can be said that I haven't slept well for a good night. Is the result in exchange for not accepting trust? Naturally, Itachi also knew his father's abacus very well. The phrase, become a bridge between the family and the village. In fact, it is to become a spy between these two forces. Why separate the village from the family, father? Although the village is very unfriendly to Uchiha, at least it can lead a stable life. Master Xuan Che, now. Itachi noodles are like bitter gourd, and his expression is full of confusion. His situation is not incomprehensible, but now the conflict between Uchiha and the village lies in the common people, not the high-level people. I can't do anything about it, you should understand? Xuan Che was also speechless. The conflict between Uchiha and the village is now worse than at this time in the original work. If it is the case of the original book, it can basically be solved by directly killing F4 of the Elders group. But now, Uchiha's contradictions are tens of thousands of Konoha villagers. Wouldn't it be possible that these hundreds of thousands were killed together? Xuan Che and Tsunade have no good way to do this. Let's take a step by step. As long as you don't do anything extraordinary, just do it, Shisui, this kid will join your team in the future. Xuan Che yawned and signaled that the two of them could retreat. However, at this time, Terumi Mei suddenly interjected, then, can you do me a favor? Xuan Che looked sideways. Advertisement it has been changed to the same hairstyle as the 5th Mizukage period in the future, with a beautiful burgundy and waist-long hair, Terumi Mei with one hand resting on her cheek covered by one side of the bangs. The exposed left eye revealed a deep worry. Recently, something seems to have happened in my hometown. Open black lens bracket blood mist close black lens bracket, Kirigakure's new nickname. It is said that in the past 2 years, 4th Mizukage Yagura has carried out drastic reforms to the rules and regulations of Shinobu Village. Although in the 3rd Mizukage period, Mist Shinobi's ninja assessment has been extremely harsh. But after 4th Mizukage Yagura came to power, it can no longer be said to be serious, it is simply cold. According to rumors, the graduates of each class have to fight each other, just like raising a GU. Only a few or even one surviving person can become the official ninja of Mist Shinobi. Such a frenzied ninja training method also gives Mist Shinobi a new nickname. Open black lens bracket blood mist house close black lens bracket. I remember the original Yagura guy was given by Obito. When Terumi Mei reminded him, Xuan Che just remembered. 4th Mizukage, Yagura, seems to have been turned into a puppet controlled by illusion by Obito just as soon as he took the position. Obito used only one Mangekyo's pupil power to control Yagura, not to mention that he now has both eyes. Mr. Yagura is a kind person. There must be a reason for him to be like this. I want to go back and see. Terumi Mei looked at Xuan Che longingly. The expression was completely saying, I want you to accompany me. But Terumi Mei made this request for granted. After all, how to say, both of them have had the gift of Jogong. It's inappropriate for me to go. If I notice my arrival, the other party should run away right away. Xuan Che pinched his chin. Terumi Mei suddenly puffed her cheeks like a frog. The old lady has let you sleep for so many years, and still wants me to be with Lin and the unpleasant woman Shi Rihong. As a result, when I begged you for the first time, I poured cold water on myself? You are a ruthless scum. Terumi Mei pounced directly at Xuan Che angrily, and Xiao Quanchuan kept reading him on his face. Ming. Calm down. Advertisement. There are others here. Don't mess around. Nohara Lin and Yurihong rushed to the frame. Both Uchiha Sasuke and Uchiha Itachi looked embarrassed. What kind of words did they hear about tigers and wolves? No, you must forget about this after you go out, or you might be silenced in the future. Can I send a team of people to go with you? Stop it. Xuan Che silently pressed Terumi Mei's small fist. It took a long time to make the little wildcat calm down. You two will go with you. This may be your last chance. Xuan Che's eyes rarely flashed with seriousness, and he rushed to the Uchiha duo in front of him. Co-author, you are also a filial son? Let's go back and prepare. But what hurts Xuan Che the most is that Naruto forgave Obito for his actions. The expressions of the two changed suddenly, and they understood the meaning of Xuan Che in an instant. Nohara Lin said guilty. Master Xuan Che, could it be said? The last chance. Shisui's eyes became extremely solemn, and after paying a last salute to Xuan Che, he walked away quickly with Itachi. Xuan Che ravaged Nohara Lin's hair twice. Xuan Che looked at Lin, do you want to go too? After the Uchiha duo left, Yi Yuan Lin held her hands in front of Yu Shang and said, your parents were killed by the other side, so can you forgive him? You don't know how to hide, it's impossible for him to wash white. You have a far duty, don't think too much. In the original book, Naruto's mouth escapes to persuade Six Paths Obito to have a lot of points. Thank you for reading this story at mtlarchive.com. Your support enables us to keep the site running. The Obito guy will be there in all likelihood, but he will definitely avoid fighting with me. It's useless if I go. If it is Obito, then he will become like that. I also have a duty. Chapter 159. 2 days later, the sky was still dark. Many Konoha villagers have not yet woken up from their sleep. But at the entrance of the village, several elite masters have gathered. Minister of Intelligence, Namikaze Minato, Jonin Department, Team Captain Hitaki Kakashi. Nohara Lin of the Medical Department. The Minato team in the original work gathers. But now there is no relationship between them. So Namikaze Minato and Kakashi just nodded for the arrival of Nohara Lin. For this girl who is not as top-notch as Tsunade, but has an angel-like smile. The relationship between him and Hitaki Xuan Che is actually quite intriguing. But no one dared to speak out publicly. Immediately afterwards, several more people arrived. Anbu member, Uchiha Shisui, codenamed Crow. The new team member, Uchiha Itachi, is codenamed Finch. This coincides with the title of Suzaku of Dawn in his original book. Mr. Minato and Kakashi Senpai are also here. Sure enough, did you hear about it? Shisui, wearing a mask, said solemnly. Well, I want to confirm with my own eyes. Minato looked solemnly. Kakashi also solemnly said, if that person is really Obito, I have to ask him personally why he has become like this. As Obito's teacher and fellow mentor, they also have something to ask Obito. The purpose of Shisui and Itachi is to capture each other alive and wash away Uchiha's grievances. They did not report this incident to the family, it only claims to perform Anbu's S-level tasks. Terumi Mei can be said to be the one whose only target is not on Obito. She just wanted to figure out what happened in her hometown. Xuan Che told her last night that many people in 3rd Mizukage were in a state of being controlled by illusions until they died. And now 4th Mizukage Yagura, it is very likely that it has also been controlled by illusion. Terumi Mei was so scared that she broke out in a cold sweat. 2 consecutive generations of Mizukage were controlled by illusion. This is too scary, too sad, right? Is it okay for Miss Lin to go too? At this time, Shisui said awkwardly, but he didn't say anything afterwards. Advertisement, it means that Lin Nohara is too weak, and if something happens, they can't bear the responsibility. Kakashi saw through Shisui's mind and said, don't worry about this. Uncle seems to have found a foreign aid for Lin. Foreign aid? Shisui and Itachi simultaneously raised a question mark. Da, the voice fell, and another footstep sounded louder in everyone's ears. Everyone turned their heads and looked, only to see a blue-haired woman who was a few years older than Kakashi and Lin, with cold facial features, had walked in front of them. The rain shinobi forehead protector on her forehead shows her identity. It's you. Shisui and Itachi were surprised. This is not the first time they have met each other. Is it you who want me to protect? Konan looked down at Nohara Lin. Xuan Che contacted her and said that she could give her a chance to find Nagato. But the prerequisite is to help protect one person. It's shameless for a person in her 40s to soak up such a little girl in her 20s. Konan was contemptuous in his heart. What a beautiful sister. Nohara Lin blinked her eyes longingly. Konan looked slightly startled, Kaido a little uncomfortable. Thanks, thank you. In this way, all the members of this mission will be there, right? Can we set off? Terumi Mei couldn't wait long ago. When I saw Konan, I scolded Xuan Che a few words in my heart. How many women has that B********* D provoke? I will never let him run this time. Shisui clenched his fists. Even Itachi, who always wore a poker face, had his teeth behind the mask bitten into shoujo. Xuan Che said the last chance, definitely hold it. This all-star team, which is only enough to kill two shadows, will no longer say anything, turning into a ghost image and set off in the direction of the water country. You really are not west, at home, enjoying the little fox. Oh no, Tsunade, whose breakfast was cooked by Yurihong, asked Xuan Che who was sitting opposite while chewing on the poached eggs. Advertisement 0 fine flowers. If you know that I'm going, Obito will definitely run away without saying a word. On the contrary, when he sees Minato and Kakashi, he might even face him head-on. Xuan Che said while chatting, don't worry, I have my own ideas. The closer we get, the strong smell of blood can be smelled. Along the way, how many ninja corpses have we seen in the wilderness? A week later, as the team got closer to Kirigakure, Kakashi felt more and more lingering. Isn't this the time of peace? Why can you see the bodies of ninjas or people everywhere in the country of water? Terumi Mei was so scared that she couldn't speak. She can't imagine how her hometown has become like this after she has left Mist Shinobi for less than 10 years. Senior Yagura, are you really controlled? Halala. As everyone approached, the outline of Kirigakure in the distance could be vaguely seen. At this time, however, dark clouds gathered over Kirigakure and it rained heavily. It's raining, it's not conducive to hiding, Kakashi frowned. If it rains, the number of pedestrians on the street will be greatly reduced, which is not conducive to the hiding of these outsiders. This technique, could it be? Konan's eyebrows tightened, and he whispered, Yuhu free technique. Yuhu Zizai technique. What is that? Namikaze Minato turned his head and asked. Based on his knowledge, it was the first time he had heard of this technique. Nagato Rinnegan's ability uses chakra to create dark clouds and rain mixed with chakra. Once an unfamiliar chakra enters, you can immediately perceive it. After Konan explained, he affirmed, there can be no mistake, Nagato is in this village. In other words, the man who caused Uchiha to be blamed on his back is also here. Itachi squeezed his saber secretly. Calm down, Itachi. Shisui discouraged. Last time Master Xuan Che took me to break through with speed, but the opponent escaped. If we still sneak in this time, I'm afraid we won't even see the opponent's face. Chapter 160. Hearing what Shisui said, Itachi also calmed down quickly. If this opportunity is missed permanently because of impulse, I will regret it for a lifetime. Sister Konan, is there no way to crack this trick? Nohara Lin turned her eyes to look at Konan. As far as I know, unless it is Madara's spacetime ninjutsu, which can be transferred in space, there is no other way to avoid the perception of Yuhu-free technique. After a few seconds of contemplation, Konan's answer silenced everyone. As long as it's not a strange chakra, is it okay? Namikaze Minato suddenly said, I have a method that I can try and see. After half an hour, a figure walked to the front gate of Kirigakure. The two Wurin who were in charge of guards immediately went up to 953 and asked to check his credentials. Even if he wears Mist Shinobi's forehead protector. Since 4th Mizukage Yagura came to power, the monitoring of the village has reached a pervert level. Ghost Lamp Lengyue, Shunin, the Ghost Lamp family who just returned from the sea-level mission. After the guard Wurin confirmed the identity of the opponent, he nodded and returned to his original post, indicating that the opponent could enter. However, this Shunin named Ghost Lamp Lengyue did not go to the clan of the Ghost Lamp family after entering the village. Instead, he walked straight to the Mizukage building marked with a big water in the middle of the village. He walked towards the Mizukage building without hurries until he reached the door, without attracting the attention of others. Even the people passing by didn't take a second look at him. No one noticed that Ghost Lantern Lengyu's eyes unknowingly reflected 3-Go Jade. Sharingan's illusion control. Immediately, Ghost Lantern Lengyue took out a special trigeminal kunai from her arms. It's Flying Thunder God kunai of Namikaze Minato. In the next instant, Ghost Lantern Lengyue threw the Kuwu in his hand to the window of Mizukage's office on the top floor of the Mizukage building. Shen Luo Tianzheng, however, Pen 6 Paths, whose daily guard is at the top level, fully monitors everything around it. Heavenly Dao Pain suddenly rushed out from the top of the building, waved his hand, and rushed the flying Kuwu with repulsive force. What's the matter with that guy? Tian Dao Pain frowned and looked at the ghost lamp Lengyue below. Advertisement. At this moment, a flash of light suddenly appeared. turning the low-eyed Heavenly Path Pain's gaze to the Kuma who was shot by him. Under his surprised gaze, several people walked out of thin air. Among them, it was Conan, a close friend who had not seen each other for 6 years. Conan, Tiandao Pain subconsciously shouted, everyone act separately. Namikaze Minato, who used Flying Thunder God to transfer everyone from outside the village in one breath, took the Flying Thunder God again in midair and threw it toward the window of Mizukage's office. This time, no one had time to stop it, with a bang, bang. Namikaze Minato rushed into the office for the first time. Shisui clasped his hands suddenly, ignoring his chakra consumption. Wood-style Bajulao technique. Numerous huge rectangular wooden strips broke out of the building around the building, sealing all doors and windows exits. Never let people escape. Shisui, for an enemy who possesses time and space ninjutsu, this trick is useless, right? Itachi frowned. I know, but as soon as he touches these pieces of wood, I can immediately perceive his location. Shisui pointed to the only remaining entrance and shouted. Let's go. For a while, except for Conan facing Pen 6 paths outside, everyone in Konoha squad including Terumi Mei rushed into the Mizukage building. Why haven't you contacted me for so many years, Nagato? I have always worried that you will be given to by Madara. Conan worried. Conan, catching the tail beast is too dangerous. Madara is right. You don't need to be involved. I promised Yahiko to protect you. After a short silence, Nagato said through the mouth of Yahiko, who had been made into a goddess pen. It is too dangerous to work with Madara, you will only put yourself in danger like this. Conan shouted. Don't worry about these, just stay in range Shinobi village. Tiandao Pain shook his head and directly launched Shenluo Tianzhong to fly the opponent. Inside the Mizukage office 0, Minato and 4th Mizukage Yugura are in a confrontation. Advertisement Minato held a Flying Thunder God in each hand and said coldly. I haven't seen you in 6 years. Don't you dare to meet me in real face? A man who claims to be Uchiha Madara. Halfway through the conversation, Minato's conversation turned sharply, or Obito. Wow, the space behind Yugura's right rear was distorted. A mysterious man wearing a mask has emerged from it. Yugai. The opening of the gritted teeth was still Uchiha Madara's voice. The reaction was unexpectedly intense, you really are. Namikaze Minato looked responsible. Although he couldn't see the other party's expression, he was 80% sure of the anger and gaffe in the other party's tone just now. Bang. At this time, the door behind the room was smashed open. Uchiha duo, Kakashi, Nohara Lin, Terumi Mei and others have also arrived. Master Mizukage was really caught. Terumi Mei was absolutely sure when he saw Yugura, a sluggish mandarin orange like a doll. Did you make Uchiha suffer so many years of grievance? Stop, Mizukage was really controlled by illusion. When Itachi's knife was separated from Obito's head, Obito suddenly took out a handful of kunai, and pierced Itachi's heart with his backhand. Shisui wanted to stop, but it was too late. Just like Shisui used Sharingan to control that ghost lamp Lengyue. When I saw the enemy of many years appearing in front of me for the first time. Suddenly drew a knife and rushed out. Thank you for reading this story at mtlarchive.com. Your support enables us to keep the site running. Nohara Lin shouted out of her voice. As the person with the least changes in expression in the original book, Itachi at the moment is the most impulsive one. Wait, Itachi, be careful of his abilities, and it was just such a shout that made Obito's action stagnate and slowed by half a beat. Humph. If Xuan Che were present, he would definitely sigh with emotion. The attributes of the licking dog really can't be changed. In Itachi's surprised eyes, he let his knife slash through his forehead. Facing the new genius of Uchiha, Obito just snorted heavily. The prediction Xuan Che said before came true. Chapter 161. Just in the half-beat time when Obito hesitated, Namikaze Minato turned into a flash and rushed out. Flashed to the side of Itachi, pulled him back, and quickly returned to the place. Sure enough. Obito. Namikaze Minato frowned while putting Itachi down. If I was only 80% sure just now, then when I saw that the other party slowed down because of Lin's shout. He was already 100% sure. Obito, why? What is the reason? You actually want to kill Ms. Kushina and Naruto? Kakashi asked with a trembling voice. Since the Battle of God Wubichao, he has completely regarded him as his savior and spiritual idol. And knowing that the person who almost killed Kushina and Naruto was the person he admired the most. Kakashi just felt that his entire worldview collapsed. To shut up, Obito roared. Kakashi's body began to appear twisted. Namikaze Minato hurriedly threw Flying Thunder God Kunai, and hurriedly rescued Kakashi at the last moment before being pulled into the Kamui space. Everyone, go! You can't crack Obito's time and space ninjutsu. Leave it to 09 me. Namikaze Minato yelled to the others around. Bang! The walls of the office shattered together with the wood-style barriers that had been blocked. 6 Paths Pain is here again, is that the owner of Rinnegan that uncle once said? Seeing the circles in the opponent's pupils, Kakashi was surprised. Where is Sister Conan? Nohara Lin shouted worriedly. Tiandao Pain frowned subconsciously, but it wasn't that he had any prejudice against Yi Yuan Lin. But it is difficult to have a good impression on all Konoha shinobi. His parents were killed by Konoha shinobi. Fainted, take her away, or say. Heavenly Dao Pain's killing intent Ling Ran said. Kill you all here. At present, Akatsuki still needs to act low-key. Advertisement after Rain Shinobi Village, Kirigakure, which was a new base, was also exposed, which was quite troublesome. It couldn't be better to be able to cut weeds and roots. This is bad. Obito, who has time and space ninjutsu, plus the owner of the legendary Rinnegan, thought that this lineup was enough, but I didn't expect the opponent to be even better. Namikaze Minato gritted his teeth secretly. Even he didn't have the confidence to protect everyone from these two people. No matter what, at this time, Shisui's ribbed short tasso pointed directly at Obito, and Ling Ran said. In any case, we have to bring this man back to prove Uchiha's innocence, no matter what the price is. Master Minato, the six of Rinnegan, please leave it to us, Uchiha Obito. Itachi also drew his sword and stood beside Shisui. Even if it kills, we have to do it. Don't die. Namikaze Minato also knew that there was no other way, and shouted. Except for me, everyone else is going to deal with Obito. As soon as the voice fell, Namikaze Minato formed a cross, and two shadow clones were derived. Throw a dozen flying thunder god kunai in one breath. The burst of light formed a series of shocks, knocking 6 pens out of the room together in one breath. I named this trick multiple spiral flashing super round dance roar 3 styles. While attacking, Namikaze Minato shouted loudly. However, no one has the heart to complain about the strange thing he named. Come on, Obito. Go back to Konoha and confess your crime. We are still Konoha's companions. Nohara Lin touched her left hand in front of Yu Hung, and shouted to Obito in a sad tone. Companion? Obito gritted his teeth and repeated these 2 words in Beyond Lin's mouth, and asked after a few seconds. How do you recognize me? This, Nohara Lin hesitated slightly. Kakashi next to him was the first to speak. 6 years ago, you released chakra of ninjutsu and was sensed by your uncle. Well, the EQ of 55 is still a little lower. I didn't realize how much excitement it was for Runtu to mention Xuan Che at this time. But it's no wonder that he didn't know what happened that night. Sure enough, after saying this in May, the scene of that night came to Obito's mind immediately. Advertisement. It was simply the nightmare of his life. Many things are like this, the more you want to forget, the more you can't forget. He even asked the old Madara to ask too much before he died, if there was any ninjutsu to remove some of the amnestics. The response is, no, naturally. Nonsense, even if there is, Uchiha Madara's old Yinbi can't help him. This is the most important source of motivation for Obito to do things for himself. In other words, you came to me because of him? Obito asked coldly. This, no, that. Nohara Lin didn't know how to answer for a while. If you say that you were here because of guilt or sympathy, it will stimulate Obito even more. However, it doesn't matter anymore, because Obito's anger has reached its limit. Do you think that more people can catch me? It's too small for me? Obito snorted. She had guessed what the other party was doing. 8 trigrams unblocked. Anyway, this base has been exposed, and this guy has no use value. He slapped Yagura's back in front of him. Obito's right hand suddenly raised an exaggerated chakra. Obito sneered. I've seen your space-time ninjutsu many times. Launch it against yourself or your opponent, and pull it into another space, but when you absorb it, your body will materialize. Thank you for reading this story at mtlarchive.com. Your support enables us to keep the site running. Up to this moment, he still dare not restore his original voice, let alone take off the mask. Huh, ridiculous Junior, the Uchiha family is really an eye-catcher. A strong ominous premonition surged in Kakashi's heart. Still speaking with Uchiha Madara's voice, Terumi Mei hissed angrily. That seal is... Shisui waved and shouted. Citrus Yagura rises up with an exaggerated red chakra, and gradually turns into a turtle-shaped behemoth. UB *************** D. I've seen it so many times, and it's time to find a way to crack it. This time it will succeed. Obediently admit your life. Sinner Uchiha Obito, Chapter 162. 3 Tails, which broke out, squeezed the entire Mizukage building in an instant. Because of the previous series of movements, many ninjas of Mist Shinobi have already noticed the situation here. After the rumblings, anyone who is not deaf should be aware of the seriousness of the situation. It's 3 Tails. Is the 3 Tails inside Mizukage-sama runaway? How is this possible? The 4th generation is called the perfect Jinchuriki. How can it run wild? The adaptability of Yagura and 3 Tails can be said to be the best among 3 Tails Jinchuriki. Just became Mizukage and was selected as 3 Tails Jinchuriki. Immediately demonstrated the ability to perfectly control the power of the tail beast. For so many years, nothing happened. How can you say that you run away? However, no one knows. That is not a runaway. Instead, Obito directly lifted the seal and released 3 Tails. In the shattered Mizukage building, Kakashi, Rin Nohara and others jumped out of the crack. Damn it, worthy of being a completely liberated tail beast, shattered the wooden prison I made in an instant. During the fall, Shisui gritted his teeth at the shattered wood scum flying in the air. Compared with the legend that first Hokage can easily uniform the wood style of 9 Tails. I'm too far behind. Sure enough, that person controlled 9 Tails. This time it's 3 Tails again. Uchiha Itachi said in a hateful voice, and suddenly found that densely packed small dots from afar quickly gathered here. No, Shisui. More and more Mist Shinobi ninjas are coming over here. Itachi exclaimed. That guy is planning to use 3 Tails to create chaos so that he can escape? After Shisui speculated, he meditated for half a second and said to Kakashi. Mr. Kakashi, Itachi and I are going to stop Obito, could you please block the chasing Kiri Shinobu? I am afraid that the two of you alone are not enough. Kakashi said with a heavy face. Only Sharingan can deal with Sharingan, neither you nor Ms. Lin are suitable. Shisui said again. When Shisui said this, Kakashi, who wanted to chase Obito very much, nodded and turned to Nohara Lin. Advertisement, Lin. Let's stop Miss Shinobu and be careful of Three Tails' indiscriminate attacks. I see. Rin Nohara responded with a roar, and said to the Uchiha duo. Shisui, Itachi, Obito please. Clear. The two responded in unison and hurriedly chased into the distance. And when Kakashi and Nohara Lin landed, a large number of Mist Shinobi ninjas surrounded them. This is the scene of what happened in the original work very much. You are Konoha's ninja. Why is Konoha's ninja here? The leader has a gray and short shoulder-length hair, looks about the age of Uchiha Shisui, and carries a flounder, one of the Mist Shinobi's 7 ninja swords. His identity is already obvious. Ghost Lamp Shuei's brother, Ghost Lamp Full Moon. However, it didn't wait for Kakashi and the others to answer. Three Tails, rioting behind him, has begun to attack indiscriminately, forcing everyone to retreat again and again, and Terumi Mei rushed to the ruins immediately after landing and rescued Yagura. But it is not so much rescue, as it is just to move his body out. The reason why Kushina can survive after being unblocked by 9 Tails. It's entirely because the Uzumaki clan was born with a terrifying physique like Shao Qiang. And as the bloodless citrus Yagura, the moment 3 Tails left his body, he died directly. After third Mizukage, did another Mizukage die under Sharingan's control? The anger in Terumi Mei's heart was extremely strong, and the anger was soaring. Akahu treats Kirigakure as a toy and tarnishes the name of Mizukage. I will never let you go. Uchiha Obito, don't even think about running away. About half a mile from Kirigakure in the rainforest, Shisui and Itachi, who were armed with knives, stopped Obito in the middle. Itachi shouted. You have fully figured out the weakness of your time and space ninjutsu. Not only do you need to materialize when launching an attack and absorbing the target, but the duration is not infinite. It's only about 4 to 5 minutes, otherwise, you wouldn't deliberately dodge our continuous attacks when you just ran away. Shisui interfaced. Advertisement. These two boys are not only the use of Sharingan, but also their observation skills. Obito secretly said inwardly, but still had a calm expression on his face, and sneered. Backquote. So what? Do you think this can defeat me? Huh? The moment the voice fell, an azure flame rose from the surface of Obito's body. No, Itachi, hurry up and avoid it. Shisui felt bad instinctively, and while backing quickly, he shouted to remind Itachi. Boom. Itachi is a bit worse than Shisui in terms of strength and age. Amid the loud noise, Itachi flew upside down and directly broke the trunk of a big tree behind him, fainted to the ground, life and death unknown. Shisui looked at the azure ghost-faced giant rising in front of him in astonishment. What is this? What a cold and evil chakra. Obito's cold words echoed in his ears. I didn't expect to deal with the two of you guys. Let me take this out. Let me see. Mangekyo Sharingan's third ability, Susanoo. Mangekyo Sharingan. Susanoo. Nuo Li Jiao. Shisui repeated in a low voice. Boom. The azure Susanoo fell together. Shisui hurriedly backed away again. And the ground on which it was originally standing. Susanoo had been chopped into tofu under the knife just now. It's so fast, I almost couldn't avoid it just now. Shishin Shisui's nickname is really true, and it can actually avoid the place. Obito let out an indifferent cry, and suddenly sealed, wounding a spiral of flame on Susanoo's long sword. Fire-style storm flurry. This time, don't try to avoid it. The murderous intent was so obvious that it was a real game. If this continues, I really want to die in his hands. Shisui felt the scorching heat and gritted his teeth secretly. No way, the next move will determine the winner, although I haven't fully mastered that move. Chapter 163. Snapped. Shisui took a deep breath, and the next second his hands and 10 fingers suddenly crossed tightly. Then he released his hands again, and pointed his palm towards the blue Susanoo on Obito's body. Wood-style birthday of the tree world, birth of the tree world. Upon hearing these 4 words shouted by Shisui, the hospitality behind Obito's mask also changed drastically. Birth in the tree world, first Hokage Senju Hashirama's most commonly used wood style. One trick is enough to rewrite a plain into a forest. There are even rumors that the forests of the Fire Country were created by first Hokage Senju Hashirama's tree world birth. The deterrence of this move is comparable to Susanoo. The violent tree vines rushed from the ground, wrapping Obito Susanoo's hands. Even though the flames burned with the vines, new wooden vines soon covered it. Make the whole Susanoo immobile. At the same time, it continued to consume chakra in Shisui's body. But it is clear that Shisui's trick to give birth to the tree world is far less powerful than the genuine Senju Hashirama, and even for Madara, the dirty land of the Fourth Ninja War, it is also far less powerful. It was just as bad as Senju Hashirama, who was summoned by Orochimaru during the Konoha collapse plan in the original book. But even so, there is still the scope and destructive power of ill-level top ninjutsu. The chakra who can absorb the recruits, once bound by this, can only wait to become the nutrients of wood style. Realize it, Uchiha Obito. Shisui's expression grew paler and shouted, This sparse and messy rainforest is completely rewritten as a tropical forest. It wasn't until the existence of Susanoo was completely invisible, and Shisui's face turned from pale to almost collapsed pale. He finally stopped chakra output. Vomit. His knees suddenly fell to the ground, and the intense exhaustion made him feel wretched. Chakra has used too much, is this the result of forcibly using a technique without a master? Shisui wiped the cold sweat on his forehead and said to himself. But in this way, wood style will suck up his chakra, and then Uchiha can be brought to. What can you do? Obito's voice came again. Shisui's eyes just relaxed suddenly fuse. Look up again. A long curve like a sickle cuts through endless vines and trees. Advertisement Susanoo appeared in front of him in the form of war. How could it be? Shisui said in disbelief. My Susanoo, the // can transfer all the hit targets to a different space. Obito controlled Susanoo to draw another knife, cut the surrounding wood vines again and make them disappear instantly. Unexpectedly, even the tree world will be a master. It is obviously only a defective product used by the Gaidanzo experiment. I really didn't expect to be able to do this. Obito controlled Susanoo, approaching Shisui slowly, and sneered. But forget it, anyway, you're over here. As he said, Susanoo raised the long knife in his hand high, disappear. Damn it. Instead of clearing Uchiha's grievances, am I going to confess here? The intense exhaustion made her body no longer under Shisui's own control, and she fell to the ground in embarrassment. In the sky, Suzuo's long knife slashed fiercely. Stop. Behind, the bloody ferret gritted his teeth and shouted angrily. However, this is obviously useless. Songming, however, it was at the very last moment. A howling fire tornado, with its destructive power, burned everything that was blocking him. Both Wood Style and Susanoo were burned into crystals in an instant and disappeared completely in the next second. That's what I saw in Nine Tails. Itachi, who was lying on the ground, suddenly raised his head. The flame of that guy. Obito quickly turned Susanoo into a protective cover to resist. However, even Susanoo's armor began to flank, melted. Damn it. Obito cursed inwardly, and his body started to hollow again. Wait. Shisui, who was lying on the opposite side, saw this and immediately guessed what the other party wanted to do, and stretched out his hand and shouted. Don't run. Wait. Susanoo was almost burned out, but at the last moment, it collapsed on its own. Advertisement because the operator has already left first. Seeing burned out into ashes, empty front. Shisui stretched out his hand and lay on the ground for a long time. Finally, his face was buried in the elbow of his left hand, and his right hand weakly beat the scorched ground, painful. Wow. The Itachi who had witnessed all this from a distance also shed tears in silence. Mission failed. Xuan Che took Ryujin Jaka back slowly, glanced at the Uchiha duo who had lost the golden beans, and said something that was not comforting. It would be nice to survive. Wow, however, Shisui cried louder. Xuan Che. Sure enough, I saw the corpse of Yagura, citrus orange at her feet. Hear these shouts. Master Mizukage is dead. All mist shinobi ninjas, stop Three Tails from running away. This, how could Lord Mizukage? The raging Three Tails seems to be repeating the scene of Nine Tails making chaos in Konoha 6 years ago. So it's not that the tail beast ran away, but the seal was lifted. Has it been broken? Everyone in Mist Shinobi looked at where Terumi Mei was. Everyone felt that they were confused. Who is that woman? Is it also our Kirigakure ninja? What's going on? How could Terumi Mei suddenly appear after 10 years? Thank you for reading this story at mtlarchive.com. Your support enables us to keep the site running. I remember. It's her, Terumi Mei. Why is Konoha's ninja in his village? Terumi Mei? Didn't I remember that she was captured by Konoha in the Third Ninja War 10 years ago? Inside Kirigakure, Terumi Mei took the advantage of Three Tails not paying attention, and jumped onto its shell, concentrated chakra on his throat, hissing to all Mist Shinobi ninjas below. Perfect Jinchuriki's citrus Yagura, how did it die? Chapter 164. No more than 10 minutes before and after. The emergencies one after another made the entire Mist Shinobi confused. In the end, what happened? What should they do next? But I saw Three Tails, who obviously lost his mind and caused chaos in the village. Everyone unanimously reached an agreement regardless of other things. Let Three Tails be subdued first. Tisk. No way, Konoha's people don't care. Stop Three Tails. Seeing Three Tails continue to wreak havoc in Kirigakure, the Ghost Lantern Moon gritted his teeth, waving his hand and shouting to the many members of the Ghost Lantern clan. Konoha's account will be calculated later. Xuan Che found Conan on the other side of the ruins, carried him on his shoulders, turned around and evacuated in the direction outside Kirigakure. You two, go away. Kakashi and Nohara Lin were found on the way, Xuan Che reminded and shouted. Nohara Lin turned to look at Terumi Mei who was fighting alongside Mist Shinobi's many ninjas, worried. Don't you help Ming? After all, they're both members of the Changan trio. Nohara Lin is very worried about Terumi Mei's situation. This is their Mist Shinobi's own business, they will solve it by themselves, not to mention that as soon as it is over, that girl will become Kirigakure's hero, and taking over as Mizukage is just around the corner. Xuan Che replied with Conan on his back. Master Xuan Che, you are here. And just after Xuan Che returned to the village with Kakashi and Nohara Lin. It just so happens that Namikaze Minato has also arrived. Teacher, what about the Rinnegan user? Kakashi asked. In the middle of the fight, he suddenly withdrew. Rinnegan's abilities are really complicated. Without knowing their true abilities, I have no confidence in defeating him. Namikaze Minato said ashamed. After speaking, Namikaze Minato turned his head and looked around, but didn't find the figure, frowning. What about Obito? Do you think their virtues look like they have caught people? Xuan Che motioned everyone to look at Shisui and Itachi. At this time, the two no longer dropped the golden beans, but still sat curled up in the corner of the tree trunk. Advertisement a desperate look of, I feel like I won't be happy anymore, and happiness has nothing to do with me. Namikaze Minato smiled and comforted, but at least it can be confirmed that the messenger behind the Nine Tails attack on Konoha 6 years ago is Obito. This is enough to prove Uchiha's innocence? You are as naive as you always have, Minato, Xuan Che sneered. Where did you get the evidence to prove? Uchiha Obito is already dead in the eyes of the villagers. Without taking him back, you will only be considered as shielding Uchiha if you want to say this. And Uchiha Obito is originally from Uchiha, even if you really catch him back. It is not yet known whether the gap between the village and Uchiha can be eased. Uncle, can't you tell me? Kakashi asked suddenly. You lie, if I come with you, Obito will definitely run away in the first place, using his Kamui. Obito's move is definitely an escape skill. In the original work, Otsutsuki Kagaya still has room for a fight. After all, any skill that involves time, space and other factors. Few are fuel-efficient lamps. I originally planned to take this opportunity to kill the kid, but he slipped as fast as ever. Boom just when everyone was talking. The Three Tails, which was messing up inside Kirigakure, has been bombarded by numerous mist shinobi ninjas. Falling down is just a matter of time. Minato, there is one more thing for you to do. Xuan Che said suddenly. Speaking, Namikaze Minato hurriedly responded. Infiltrated Kirigakure and found Jiaowei named Awanshi and killed him. Xuan Che said calmly. Master. Is it the master who controls more than half of Kirigakure's ninja power? Namikaze Minato was taken aback, he obviously knew this man. It is said that he has survived from the Sengoku period to the present, and has served as an elder from the 3rd Mizukage period. Advertisement 0 Fine flowers have great power. It is equivalent to the existence of Kirigakure's elders. This, Namikaze Minato, the yellow hair who owns the same heart of the virgin as his son, suddenly fell into trouble. The girl Terumi Mei is going to take over the position of 5th Mizukage. That old guy is the biggest trouble. Go and kill him now. Afterwards, you can lie that he died in the chaos created by Three Tails. Xuan Che was impatient and explained a few more sentences. It means you don't act again, I will kill you to death. Yes. Namikaze Minato turned into a golden flash and instantly sneaked into the village again. Master Xuan Che, do you think we still have a chance? Shisui stood up suddenly and spoke. Xuan Che watched the boy's gaze for a long time, feeling a strong sense of sight. Then he said leisurely. Who knows the future? But at least after this incident, the Obito guy will become more careful in his behavior. Obito. Kakashi muttered to himself in a complicated mood. Let me down. At this moment, Conan, who had been resisted by Xuan Che on his shoulders, had already woke up. After realizing his situation, his expression flashed with an unnatural expression. It seems that Nagato didn't take you away with you. Is the reason the same as I guessed? Xuan Che put Conan down and asked. Conan didn't answer. But her silence has already explained the answer. It should be used to death, that guy Nagato, Xuan Che said inwardly. In terms of pure strength, Nagato, who owns Rinnegan, may be slightly better. But it is extremely difficult to defeat Obito of Kamui with both eyes. Obito is very aware of Pen's 6 paths ability and the biggest weakness of Nagato's body strength. Once the use value of catching the tail beast is lost, Nagato should follow Uchiha Madara's plan to use the Rinne Tensai technique to revive it, right? But Xuan Che did not tell Conan the truth. Wouldn't it be nice to have one less death, son? Chapter 165 Boom Boom. Under the indiscriminate bombardment of countless mist shinobi ninja continuous ninjutsu. Three Tails, who was already in a state of rampage and couldn't perform all its strengths perfectly, didn't take long before it was completely defeated. The devastated body was lying on the ground. It caused a shaking of the whole village. Huh. Is it over? The ghost lantern full moon wiped the non-existent perspiration on his face, and put the double sword flounder on his shoulder, suddenly remembering the 2 Konoha shinobi he had seen before, and shouted. Hey, Terumi Mei, have you been living in Konoha for the past 10 years? Why did Konoha people enter the village? You have to explain it? Compared with the death of Mizukage, the mist shinobi ninjas were more concerned about why the Konoha shinobi would enter their village. After all, the rule of blood mist in the mist was executed during the Yagura administration. The entire village and even the entire water country was messed up. The Yoruichi clan has been wiped out. Most of Mist Shinobi's 7 ninja swords also left. It is a good thing that he is dead. That was the reinforcement I invited to support Mist Shinobi, because we found an anomaly with Lord 4th Generation. Terumi Mei brought down the body of Yagura and presented it in front of everyone. Abnormal. What do you want to say? A middle-aged ninja asked. In the original book, the white-eyed killer, Chang, served as one of Terumi Mei's guards during the 5 Shadows talks. But because of the 3rd Ninja War, the Hyuga clan followed Xuan Che and didn't give him this opportunity at all. Therefore, he didn't get the nickname, Blank Eye Killer, either. It's just Kirigakure, an ordinary, more senior Jonin. Master Fourth Mizukage, these people have been manipulated by illusions. Terumi Mei's words were shocking, and an uproar was set off among the misty ninjas. Illusion manipulated their shadows? Is it so many years of manipulation? It's like a fairy tale, right? Akatsuki, this is the name of the main messenger behind the scenes. Terumi Mei said with a cold face. Advertisement, what evidence do you have? After a brief silence, Qing-ji questioned, it's different from Konoha's Nine Tails chaos. The three tails that run away is not like Nine Tails' Guyu from Sharingan as evidence. And now Yagura is dead, completely dead with no evidence. No one knows whether Yagura has been manipulated by illusion for many years, or Terumi Mei is lying. Terumi Mei's face went dark. Citrus Yagura died suddenly when Uchiha Obito released three tails. As in the case of Uchiha Shisui, Uchiha Obito was not caught. It's impossible to report the name of a dead person as evidence, right? This is what I found out. This is the evidence, is it enough? At this moment, a voice was tantamount to the arrival of a savior to Terumi Mei. Seeing Xuan Che walking leisurely with a group of Konoha shinobi, he almost didn't say the words, who approve, who opposes. Hitaki Xuan Che, the strongest man in the ninja world? He actually came too. The mist shinobi group once again screamed in an uproar. Xuan Che stared at Qing, who continuously questioned Terumi Mei. I told her, isn't it evidence? If you change to someone else, Qing will definitely go back and ask, how did you know? However, facing Hitaki Xuan Che, he really didn't have the guts. Bang bang bang, Xuan Che clapped his hands and said. For the same 5 great shinobi villages, this happened in Mist Shinobi, and we Konoha also deeply sympathize, so let's let Terumi Mei serve as 5th Mizukage. The country of fire Konoha and the country of water Mist Shinobi have since become allies. How? What? Led by Ao, many old faction Mist Shinobi ninjas stared in surprise. Election 5th Mizukage is such a big thing, do you need a Konoha shinobi to intervene? Election, the election of a new Mizukage, such a major event, should be consulted with the elder Yuenchi. A middle-aged Mist Shinobi ninja summoned the courage to interject. His name is Kwanbinbei, Yuenchi's henchman, Mist Shinobi Jonin. Unfortunately, I heard that Mr. Yuenchi died in the Three Tails riot just now, don't you think? Minato 0. Advertisement. Xuan Che turned his head and asked Namikaze Minato. Yes, yeah. Ahaha. Namikaze Minato, an honest man, laughed, and there was still a little blood in his hands. Kwanbei and many other Mist Shinobi ninjas under Yuenchi were instantly silly. Just kidding. The Mizukage building where the incident occurred was a dozen miles away from Yuenchi's residence. The attack of Three Tails can go so far away, even the pupils in Terumi Mei's beautiful eyes can't help but shrink suddenly. I didn't expect Xuan Che to be so capable. Since you are in that position, you can't be as kind as before. Xuan Che lowered his head slightly, and whispered while sticking to Terumi Mei's ear. After finishing talking, before Terumi Mei could answer, Xuan Che turned to look at the other Wu Ren. Okay, don't you have any opinions now? All the mists stared at each other. What do they dare to say? Those who have opinions are afraid that they will soon become the next Yuenchi. Very well, immediately notify the daimyo of Water Country to change Mizukage. Xuan Che was like Lao Zi's greatest attitude, and unceremoniously gave orders. The era of the blood mist is over, let's let everyone live together in harmony. In the next few days, Namikaze Minato took Kakashi back to Konoha and informed Tsunade Konoha and Mist Shinobi of their plans to form an alliance. Shisui and Itachi stayed in Kirigakure for a few days, hoping to investigate the clues left by Obito. It would be better if you could find some criminal certificates left by Obito here. Although unlikely, after all, this is not Conan's fellow. And the dog author wrote Conan Dujin, he never succeeded. The same is true of Nohara Lin and Conan. I want to know what Akatsuki has done with Kirigakure as his base over the years. The reason why Xuan Che stayed here is purely the first time he has come to Kirigakure, so I want to see more. The second is that Terumi Mei insists on staying for a few days. Chapter 166. A few days later, as 4th Hokage, Tsunade responded with a letter expressing his willingness to form an alliance with Kirigakure under Terumi Mei. Only then did Xuan Che and others decide to start again and escort Terumi Mei to Konoha to sign the alliance agreement. This incident also happened to Cloud Shinobi in Konoha. Only because of 4th Raikage's ability to covet his eyes. The story of Konoha's alliance in history has been planted on Cloud Shinobi twice. Later, I didn't choose revenge, I really don't know whether it was forbearance or weakness. In the original book, Yagura dies, and Mist Shinobi breaks away from Obito's timeline. I'm afraid it is just right in the original plot or a little bit of time going forward. And Xuan Che directly advanced this time by at least 5 years. As for Kirigakure, many masters of Wujin who should have died in the Blood Mist period are still alive. For example, the Ghost Lantern Full Moon, the Ghost Lantern Shuei died, and the 2 brothers who were captured by Orochimaru. And a few years ago, the Snow Tribe, who was persecuted by Obito's Mandarin Orange Yagura and expelled from the village, now the tribes wandering around in the water country have disappeared. Terumi Mei has ordered a nationwide search in order to retrieve those 09 who possess the same powerful ice escape and blood inheritance abilities as 3rd Mizukage. Among them, Xuan Che had the deepest impression of the white boy who almost let Urzuzi pick up the lunch in advance. It is said that when the official did not announce his gender in the early stage, many Hokage colleagues snatched him as his wife. Now that I think about it, it's really chilling. I don't know that girl, oh no, whether that little devil was picked up by not beheaded again. Ming, can we see each other often in the future? On the way back to Konoha, Lin Nohara grabbed Terumi Mei's hands and reluctantly said. In the Wall General Trio, the relationship between her and Terumi Mei is more than the first time that she Rihong experienced this relationship together. It doesn't matter, you can come to Mist Shinobi to find me at any time if you want to, and I will give you a pass. Terumi Mei of the Mizukage hat on the head patted the Tsunade, which is second only to Tsunade. But, Nohara Lin still has a look of nostalgia. While chatting with her girlfriend, Terumi Mei secretly looked at Xuan Che. But found that this guy was talking to the guard's ghost lantern full moon. Big trotters. It will be difficult to see each other in the future, don't you come up to show it? Advertisement. In the Third Ninja World War, I heard that you killed all the 7 ninja swords of your predecessor, so I was able to inherit the flounder at a very young age. Ghost Lantern Manue, who is 80% similar to his younger brother Shuei, grinned strangely at Xuan Che. Seriously, I should still thank you, heartless kid, I thought you wanted to avenge your predecessors. Xuan Che chuckled lightly. It doesn't make sense to take revenge. I just hope to use my knife to fight a stronger enemy. Ghost Lantern Manmoon twisted his neck and said, Hey, isn't it to challenge me? Xuan Che smiled slightly. No, although you are also my goal, but I am not as stupid as I can fight you now, save it for later. Ghost Lantern Manmoon shrugged. Xuan Che finally glanced at the double sword flounder behind him. Secretly, this kid should be more reliable than that Chongjuro, right? I think of Chojiro's record as 6th Mizukage in Boren biography. Xuan Che can only describe it as grass. It is as if the Cloud Shinobi envoy came to Konoha to sign a copy of the alliance agreement in the original book. When Xuan Che and others returned to Konoha with the Mist Shinobi envoy headed by Terumi Mei, the sky was full of colored ribbons floating above Konoha, and hundreds of thousands of villagers stood neatly on both sides of the street, making deafening cheers. Being able to form an alliance with one of the 5 ninja villages means that the possibility of war becomes even smaller. And when they saw Shisui and Itachi who were also walking in the line, many villagers began to whisper. Although doubts were also indispensable, the two also heard a lot of changes in Uchiha. For example, hey, isn't that the Uchiha people? Why are they there? I heard that they also participated in the mission of this alliance Mist Shinobi. It's amazing. As expected, everyone in Uchiha is an elite, so young. After hearing these words, Shisui and Itachi, who showed bitter faces along the way, felt better. If we continue to work hard like this, can we eliminate the barrier between the family and the village? Thinking of this, there was a glimmer of hope in the two of them. And in front of the administrative building at the end, headed by Tsunade. Senior representatives such as Namikaze Minato and Hitaki Tsukumo have been waiting here for a long time. Advertisement: the little vixen, who has been eating idle food for nearly 10 years at his own home, turned into a Mizukage on an equal footing with him. Tsunade was caught off guard by this change in relationship. Soon, on the top floor of the Hokage building, 2 beauties with beautiful facial features and good figures are witnessed by hundreds of thousands of Konoha residents below. Shake hands to represent the friendly alliance between the two villages. The cheers of the whole village rose to a new height again. Senju family land, in the house of Xuan Che. I'm leaving soon, I feel so nostalgic when I look at this place again. When Terumi Mei returned here as 5th Mizukage, she couldn't help but sigh. Obviously I still lived here 2 weeks ago. Looking at it now, the mood is completely different. Do you really want to go? The Walru trio and Terumi Mei tore from the last book to the original Evening Red, and at this time they were too lazy to show their reluctance. I didn't expect you to show this expression to me, I didn't expect it. Terumi Mei chuckled. Long-winded. If you want to go, hurry up, it's best not to come back. Shiri flushed her cheeks and turned around angrily. Be kind as donkey liver and lungs. Little. Ahem, Mizukage, your guards are still outside, why don't you let them wait too long? Tsunade reminded with a dry cough. Almost called, little vixen, again? Please wait, Master Hokage, I actually have another way to strengthen the friendship between Mist Shinobi and Konoha. Terumi Mei suddenly showed a sly smile like a fox, with his hands behind his back, and raised his head to Xuan Che. Do you want to marry? Chapter 167? I don't agree, this little vixen doesn't put my aging mother in his eyes at all. In the highest meeting room of the administrative building, Tsunade hit the table with a punch, almost splitting the table into 2, frightening Naruto, Hyuga Heishi and other representatives of the ninja clan shivering. The content of this high-level decision-making meeting was about the marriage of Hitaki Xuan Che and 5th Mizukage Terumi Mei. Although Terumi Mei had mentioned it once in Xuan Che's house, he also revised a book in the name of Mizukage and handed it to Konoha. As a result, many high-level representatives also knew about this incident. The people who eat melons said that this is too powerful, robbing men to this extent. Although smaller, it is just an emotional drama between 2 women competing for a man. But to get bigger, it is about the friendship between the 2 Darren villages. If this can be done, isn't Mizukage half of Konoha? The friendship between the 2 villages is definitely stronger than the relationship with San Shinobi. Because Naruto felt it necessary to hold a meeting to discuss this issue. However, seeing Tsunade like this, no one dared to persuade him. As long as I dare to speak, I am afraid that this female Tyrannosaurus will be hacked alive in the next second. Since they both disagree, let this matter go. Tsunade snorted angrily, and she had no idea how many times she scolded Terumi Mei, the little BCH. After helping her get Kirigakure, he dared to snatch the old lady's man. Do you really think my old lady is afraid of you, Mizukage? Tsunade's confidence comes from his confidence in Konoha's strength. But there is another important reason, which is the understanding of Terumi Mei. After all, I lived in Konoha for 10 years. Although I don't communicate much with each other, I understand that the other person still has feelings for Konoha. Even if he disagrees with this marriage during Terumi Mei's tenure. A war between Mist Shinobi and Konoha is almost impossible. Here, Master Hokage. Naruto waited for people to show bitter faces one by one, and they thought this was really a good opportunity. What's more, what is the relationship between Terumi Mei and Xuan Che? Everyone present knows it in their hearts, but they haven't said it in the open. Isn't the palace of yours also open one eye and close one eye? After all, Terumi Mei is now asking for a position. It's okay for you to give her, right? In a dilemma, Nara Shikuhisa and others had to pin their hopes on Nawaki, who was standing behind Tsunade. After receiving the gazes from the heads of the ninja clan, Nawaki felt his scalp numb, and finally reluctantly spoke. Sister, please calm down. What the patriarch said makes sense. Advertisement, huh? You kid talking for outsiders? Tsunade turned his head and glared at Nawaki murderously, frightening the boy. No, I actually have another way. Nawaki scratched his head and murmured a few words in Tsunade's ear. After a few seconds, Tsunade's complexion changed slightly. After hesitating for a moment, he shouted, the meeting will be over today, I have to go back and think about it. At Xuan Che's home, Yurihome's cheeks bulged into frogs on both sides, staring angrily at Terumi Mei, who was sitting gracefully on the other side. If it hadn't been for Yi Yuan Lin who had been stopping by, she was afraid that she would not rush to fight with the other party immediately. This vixen, when I first became Mizukage, I used the power at hand to suppress people. Regarding the marriage proposal made by Terumi Mei, Yurihome's dissatisfaction is second only to Tsunade. Not to mention that the two of them were quite uncomfortable. Hitaki Xuan Che, an angry shout came from the door. The female Tyrannosaurus is back. Master Hokage knelt down, did your village come to a conclusion? Terumi Mei, who was promoted to Mizukage, had a dignified and elegant posture in the future, and asked Tsunade with a smile. She is not afraid that Tsunade teaches herself as before. If you don't handle any of them at will, it will be a big deal. Xuan Che scratched his head in distress. Hey, they are all children of the rivers and lakes, why do they have a love for those children? Isn't it good for everyone to fight in a peaceful way? You are all my wings, sister, brother-in-law, I have a solution here. Nawaki bit the bullet and said, you marry my sister first. The Changan trio's face changed slightly at the same time. Nawaki continued to explain. You will marry my sister first, of course, then another half a year or so, and then you will marry Mizukage-sama again. Advertisement. Well, the meaning of Nawaki is actually very simple. It is Tsunade as the big house and Terumi Mei as the second wife. In another way, one is a wife and the other is a concubine. The one from the land of fire is so famous that he looks like an eunuch, and marrying a wife is just that. Xuan Che looked at Tsunade curiously. This woman has never wanted to get married. Because Tsunade doesn't like being bound by marriage, my old lady likes to bet on money, drink alcohol and then come back to fight with you at night, this kind of carefree life. If he is crowned, married person, Tsunade always feels uncomfortable. And Xuan Che didn't care about this himself, so the two dragged on until they were 40 pairs of years old. Noting the look in Xuan Che's eyes, Tsunade scratched the opponent harshly. As Tong Xuan said, human temperament always likes a compromise. For example, you said that this room is too dark, and that opening a skylight here must be forbidden. But if you advocate tearing down the roof, they will come to reconcile and are willing to open the skylight. Make big demands first, then make smaller demands. This is the so-called house demolition effect. This is what Tsunade is now. She didn't want to get married, but when Terumi Mei proposed, Tsunade felt a crisis. Even if the old mother doesn't care, you are not allowed to grab the things of the old mother. Terumi Mei put her cheek in one hand, and after thinking for a long time, she smiled. Hey, is the strongest side room in the ninja world? It's nothing, anyway, I have confessed to this man for the rest of my life. With that said, Terumi Mei put a stick on Xuan Che's arm, causing her entire elbow to sink into it. After all, what Terumi Mei wants is a status. It is impossible for her to find another man. Great, Master Mizukage agreed. Old sister, look. Nawaki scorned, for fear that Tsunade would regret it. Humph. Tsunade furiously turned his face to the other side. Anyone who knows her understands. Tsunade put on such an attitude. It is equivalent to agreeing, and Lin Yi Yuan and Yu Rihong watched the drama completely. Thoughtful inwardly. In this case, can I do it myself? Chapter 168. Konoha's 54-year end. Hitaki Xuan Che married Senju Tsunade. To be honest, it didn't cause an imagined sensation. Even when the news came out, many Konoha shinobi had a feeling of waking up from a dream. They patted their heads and exclaimed. Oh, so the two of them have never been married? Yes, if it is said that Rin Nohara, Terumi Mei and others and Xuan Che's relationship is an open secret. Then Xuan Che and Tsunade are completely public. Let alone Konoha, almost everyone in the ninja world knows it. After the news that they were getting married, quite a few people think of it, these two people have never gotten together. But no matter what, face is still needed. whether it is Konoha's representatives of the patriarchs of the ninja clan, or the allied independent nations from the Fire Nation. Even the father-in-law of the Land of Fire personally visited and gave a heavy gift. In terms of scale, I am afraid that it is only in the latter part of the original work. The wedding of Naruto, who became a hero of the ninja world, can barely be compared with it. But it is worth mentioning. Although his appearance is only around 25 years old, Tsunade is actually over 40 years old. I was actually nervous, so Xuan Che laughed at her. The result was naturally an iron fist entertained by Tsunade. 6 months later, Konoha May 21, 55. Although 22 years old, missed Shinobi 5th Mizukage Terumi Mei on his birthday. Married to Konoha Shinobi, named Hitaki Xuan Che. The alliance between Konoha and Mist Shinobi is officially completed. This incident not only surprised countless civilians, but in the eyes of many people, it was nothing more than expected. Even in the eyes of Narulukisa, Hyuga Heishi and others. When Xuan Che and Tsunade got married half a year ago, this scene was doomed. After a woman gets married, she has to change her name and live with the man, right? In the wedding room, Xuan Che looked at Terumi Mei, who was wearing a wedding dress with a temperament completely different from that of Tsunade, and asked a question. Hitaki Ming. It feels weird, and still very unaccustomed, anyway you just call me by name. Advertisement. Terumi Mei plunged into Xuan Che's arms, planted a few strawberries on his neck, and said in a crooked manner. As for the issue of moving back to live, wait until I have decided on the successor to 6th Mizukage, then hand over the village to him, and Tenten will stay with you at home. Someone has chosen? Xuan Che was extremely surprised. You have only been a Mizukage for half a year, so it's too early to choose the next one, right? Well, a child named White, just like Master 3rd Mizukage, is from the Snow Clan. Terumi Mei smiled and said, although he is small, I plan to train him as a candidate for Mizukage in 5 years. Xuan Che rolled his eyes. I really found that pseudo-girl kid. But his age seems to be about 2 years older than Naruto and the others, right? Being Mizukage, it doesn't seem to be impossible. Isn't Gaara also playing at the same age? What's more, Filu had a lot of 8-year-old destroyers of the world. It's not strange to be a village head in his teens. Forget it, Sir Child. Xuan Che picked up Terumi Mei. Hate. Terumi Mei swears, but moves faster than Xuan Che. Wear it, I like. Terumi Mei did not stay in Konoha much. Even the marriage freak in the original book like her does not even plan to spend a honeymoon with Xuan Che. Only a week after the marriage, I took people back to Kirigakure. According to her, it is necessary to train Nabai to be a Mizukage in 5 years. Then you can go back to Konoha's little grandmother's days. Do the math, 5 years later, she is only 27 years old. The feeling is similar. But what Xuan Che didn't expect was that the other two of Chang'en's trio couldn't sit still. Advertisement, Lin, we can't just wait and die anymore. In the Maruko shop at the entrance of Konoha village, looking at the back of Terumi Mei leading the guards away from a distance, Yu Yihong squeezed her pink fist and said to her next friend. Nohara Lin's face is slightly bitter, and she always acts as an intermediary between Terumi Mei and Yurihong, two friends who don't deal with each other. She was really tired. Aren't you unconvinced? Both of you were born on the same day, so why can she marry Master Xuan Che, can't you? Yurihong's words are like the whispers of a devil, constantly tempting Lin Yeyuan. Just because she got a Mizukage? Why? If you wait for that woman to come back, do you think she will treat you as a girlfriend? I'm afraid that if you don't have a child in the future, you still want to use you as a servant? Just hesitate, no chance. Yes, but Tsunade-sama's side. This pure girl was completely trapped in, and she did not realize that she was being used as a gunman by Shirihong. It's okay. Let's grind slowly while that woman is away. Let's go together and we can definitely convince Master Tsunade. Yurihong also knew that she couldn't say anything about Tsunade's. That's why I got on with the Buddhist girl named Nohara Lin. Oops, it feels a little green tea. But for your own happiness, what happened to the green tea? Isn't your Terumi Mei's method not green tea? Are you married? Why can you marry us and you can't, you foreign little 3, no, little 5? Huh? I heard something very interesting? After the two girlfriends walked out of the meatball shop, they were in the blind corner of the eaves of the shop. A clone of White Zetsu with only half of his face poked his head out and smiled badly to himself. Although there is no need to grab Yi Yuan Lin, but I feel that this matter can still be used. A few days later, Tien Jiguo and Akatsuki were in another secret base. That's the way it is. It is the news from the clone responsible for monitoring Konoha. Although I think you may not be interested, we thought about it and thought it would be better to tell you. White Zetsu, who was fused with Black Zetsu, suppressed his laughter and reported to Obito. Obito at this moment, just want to sing a song. Who puts your short hair up, who makes the wedding dress for you? Chapter 169. Of course, in the end Obito still sang the lyrics. Without even answering White Zetsu's words, he directly mobilized Kamui to leave. Why do you want to tell him this? It's no good for Project Tasuki no Mi. Black Zetsu asked with his husky voice. Hey, just tell him if you just think it's interesting, anyway it's nothing. White Zetsu smirked. Boring, Black Zetsu commented coldly, and secretly said in his heart. Obito, Nagato, Kakuzu, Sasori, Kisame. Even with me, the 10 core members that were originally planned are still far from the original plan. As expected, we still have to step up time to absorb more core members. Tsunade-sama has worked hard, please have tea. I prepared your favorite roast chicken for you today. Just when he got home, Tsunade was speechless when faced with two girls who were dedicated to their daily lives. As a woman, how could she not know what horrible idea these two little foxes were fighting? Both myself and Terumi Mei were married to the B************ D Xuan Che. Tsunade didn't need to think about it, it definitely stimulated these two girls. Come on, Tsunade-sama has worked hard, do you want to take a shower first? Shi Rihong stepped closer and asked. You two don't get close to me. Tsunade is a little scared of these little foxes now. It's not that I didn't think about driving the two of them out to live. But that is also a temporary solution, not a permanent cure. Not to mention the relationship between the two of them and Xuan Che is already an open secret in the village. Xuan Che's humming voice came from the yard, and he was dragging Hinata's armpits like porcelain dolls with both hands, throwing, catching, throwing up, and catching. Teasing her like a puppy. The shameless guy Hyuga Haishi seemed to like his daughter when he saw Xuan Che. He sent the person directly and said that long-term stay was no problem. Damn, Tsunade couldn't hold back a punch when Hizashi hit his white eyes. Selling your daughter is too fast, right? I'm wrong with this Hokage. Tsunade sat on the aisle without paying attention to the image and crossed his feet on Xuan Che's legs. Xuan Che put Hinata down and motioned her to play aside. The indifferent expression on his face showed that he was not surprised. Advertisement as early as 7 years ago, Tsunade didn't want to do this Hokage. She has to be able to survive until now, I have to say it is a miracle. Is the relationship between Uchiha and the village okay, Mr. Tsunade? Rin Nohara brought out Tsunade's favorite yakitori skewers and asked. After the Nine Tails Rebellion, Tsunade worried that the relationship between the village and Uchiha would be fissioned after his abdication, so he gritted his teeth until now. And now, I feel that the conflict doesn't seem to be as intense as when the Nine Tails chaos just ended. But it doesn't seem to be much better. I've done everything I can, and I won't be able to do anything like this. Tsunade changed several actions in a row and felt uncomfortable. Finally, he turned his lower body and lay his head on Xuan Che's legs, breaking the jar and threw. After working for so many years, I'm tired, it's wrong. After getting married, Tsunade's mentality has also changed a lot. How to say? Homesick. Anyway, Xuan Che didn't think so much. In all likelihood, my hands are itchy and I want to go to the casino. However, Xuan Che had already sent someone to say hello to the casino in the Land of Fire. If Tsunade loses money with them, the money will flow back to Xuan Che's pockets the next day. No one would offend the strongest person in the ninja world for a little money. Gee, this is the power of capital, the successor? Shi Rihong curiously said. Namikaze Minato. Tsunade took a bite of the chicken skewers and said. Suo, Senior Mao declined, saying that he is not suitable for this position, Guru. Indeed, if the political idiot is in power, I am afraid that it will be played around by others. Xuan Che agreed. Do you want Master Tsunade? I can do more. Seeing that a whole bunch of chicken had entered Tsunade's belly, Lin Nohara asked quickly. Drink wine. Shi Rihong then interfaced. No, don't do this, it's disgusting. Tsunade raised his hand and declined. After the two little foxes left, Tsunade pinched Xuan Che's waist with one hand, and said without a smile. Zero Fine Flowers advertisement, awesome you. Thank you. Xuan Che backhanded Tsunade's stranger and smiled. Tsunade snorted coldly, and muttered in a tone that only she could barely hear. Anyway, it won't work in the past few years, lest you become addicted to this guy. A few days later, on the back mountain of the Uchiha clan. Uchiha Shisui, 18, and Uchiha Itachi, 13 are having daily conversations here. Master Tsunade has finally made a formal decision. Shisui looked at the river below the mountain for a long time, then turned his head and said to Itachi. Abdicate, 5th generation's goal position, it is almost certain that it is Lord Minato. Zero Ferret's eyebrows twitched fiercely, pursing his dry lips and said. Continuous 5th Hokage has never been born in Uchiha. There will be many radicals who will express opposition and push my father forward. The Fugaku Patriarch is not weak, but there is no chance of winning if you want to compete with Minato-sama. Shisui said. In the village, and even the whole country of fire. But now he is not qualified. That's his father's recent actions, somewhat strange, son. I hope so. Shisui smiled and patted Itachi on the shoulder twice. We have all worked so hard, so it must be fine. Thank you for reading this story at mtlarchive.com. Your support enables us to keep the site running. In the past few years, we have done our best to make a lot of contributions to the village named Uchiha, hoping to ease the relationship between the two parties. However, they are not sure whether it can be. Itachi also officially served as the captain of the Anbu team not long ago. If another 10 years pass, it may also be a popular candidate for Hokage. After the two separated, Itachi did not mention one thing to his close friend. Both have achieved a lot of fame. Oh, don't think so, Itachi. I hope that with the efforts of the two people, the estrangement between the family and the village can be eliminated. Itachi, a pessimist, was already worried if there is a rebellion. A year ago, Shisui withdrew from the Anbu squad. As a formal ninja from Uchiha, Shisui was on the front line under the name of Shimmering Shisui. Itachi smiled reluctantly. Chapter 170 in the residence of the Uchiha Patriarch. As the second son of the Patriarch, Uchiha Sasuke ended his after-school practice at the ninja school as usual before returning home for dinner. It has been more than 2 years since I enrolled in school. At first, except for the blonde idiot named Uzumaki Naruto, and the pink nympho named Haruno Sakura, there is basically no willingness to talk to myself. But as the school year progressed, Sasuke also gradually felt that other people's views of him were changing. From time to time, I heard rumors about my brother and Shisui-senpai. Uchiha's genius, and his goal is also these two people. I'm done. Uchiha Fugaku put down his bowl and chopsticks and got up as if he was about to leave. Sasuke, who was still picking up the vegetables, looked a bit stagnant. I feel that during this period of time between 960 and 60, the atmosphere at home is getting heavier and heavier. Dad, are you going out? Itachi also temporarily put down the bowl and chopsticks and asked. Well, there is something about the police department, you can eat it slowly. Uchiha Fugaku said with his back to his wife and 2 sons. After putting on the uniform of the police department, he opened the door and left. Itachi did not pick up the chopsticks again, and stood up and said. Mom, I have finished eating too, and I have to go out. Is brother going out too? Sasuke was surprised. Well, there are some things to report to Master Hokage. After Itachi nodded, he tied the forehead protector and walked away quickly. Brother and Dad. What's the matter? Sasuke lowered his head and muttered to himself worriedly. Well, Sasuke, don't think so much, just go back to the house and do your homework after dinner. Uchiha Makoto showed a gentle smile, but his eyes were filled with worry. Not here? In the bush of a big tree across the street from the Uchiha police department. Itachi hid in the shade, frowning and muttering to himself. After going out, he rushed here at the fastest speed. Advertisement however, I waited here for several hours until the lights in the entire building went out. Only the light at the security office at the door was still on. Itachi had completely determined that his father had not come to the police department at all. He has gone elsewhere, but where can he go? The southern suburbs of Konoha village. Here's the Nanga shrine that Uchiha has been passed down from generation to generation. Even the Uchiha tribe, only a handful of people know about it. Under the tatami of the shrine, there is a secret room. Inside is a stone stele that has been passed down for thousands of years from the Uchiha clan. The above text is absolutely incomprehensible to ordinary people. The Sharingan of the Uchiha clan can interpret the opening paragraph, which is to awaken Mangekyo Sharingan after trying to lose the loved one. And after interpreting with Mangekyo Sharingan, you can interpret the next paragraph. Only by transplanting the eyes of brothers can the eyes of eternity be awakened. In the candlelight, Uchiha Fugaku silently stared at the stele without saying a word. Senju Tsunade's abdication and Namikaze Minato's role as 5th Hokage is already a certainty. At this time, the space behind Uchiha Fugaku was distorted. Wearing a black robe that covers the whole body and even the hair, Obito appeared and said. At the age of Namikaze Minato, the position of Hokage is less than 20 years. You can't have a chance, the current patriarch. So you want to instigate me to rebel, Uchiha Madara? Uchiha Fugaku turned his head, staring at each other with those scarlet Mangekyo, and said coldly. 8 years ago, you were the hot one who summoned 9 tails to attack Konoha, isn't it? After all, the injustices Uchiha suffers now are all brought by you. You can say that, but in the final analysis, as early as when I established Konoha together with first Hokage Hashirama, the estrangement between Uchiha and the village inevitably occurred. This is destiny. Obito cocked his finger to point to Uchiha Fugaku, and then turned on the big flicker technique again. The village can never trust Uchiha. No matter who is in charge, the result will be the same, Senju Tsunade, Namikaze Minato. After all, Uchiha can only be inferior, just like me and Senju Hashirama. Uchiha Fugaku fell silent, speechless, seeing the other person's attitude zero. Obito knew that the other party had already taken the bait. No matter what you say, it's useless. With Uchiha's power, there is no ability to defect. Uchiha Fugaku shouted, advertisement not capable, will not. Obito is funny inside, confident that he has completely guessed what Uchiha Fugaku is thinking. Uchiha Fugaku wanted to be Hokage in his heart, although the Nine Tails uprising 8 years ago caused the villagers to vent their hatred on Naruto from the original work to Uchiha. But it is not too exaggerated to allow every Uchiha to receive the treatment of Naruto in the original book. Moreover, after Shisui and Itachi's efforts over the years, the villagers' views on Uchiha have changed somewhat. Although there are still discrimination issues, but it is still enough to live a harmonious life. However, this is only the idea of Uchiha flat members. And Uchiha's ninjas, especially the radicals, discriminate against many villagers, which is unbearable. What Uchiha Fugaku wants to do is to change this situation by becoming a Hokage. Of course, there must be his own personal ambitions. But Uchiha Fugaku himself knew that he could not compete with Namikaze Minato. Even if the pair of Mangekyo were revealed, it was the same. Moreover, if Uchiha's radicals know that Konoha will soon elect 5th Hokage, and the consecutive 5th generation are not Uchiha people, absolutely run away. At that time, the contradiction between Uchiha and the village will only intensify. Obito sneered in Uchiha Madara's voice. Suddenly he threw something to Uchiha Fugaku. Uchiha Fugaku looked down. This is a book? Do not. It is the list of wanted orders on the black market. You don't need to turn around, the first page is. Obito chuckled. Uchiha Fugaku, who didn't know what the other party was thinking, turned the first page, his face changed suddenly. Hitaki Xuan Che, bounty. 1 billion taels, the highest bounty amount on the black market. The bounty is the third raikage of Cloud Shinobi Village in Thunder Country. Do you know what this means? Obito smiled. Chapter 171, Fugaku's behavior is weird lately? The next day, Tsunade received a report from Anbu's new team leader Uchiha Itachi. Yes, yesterday. Itachi nodded and told Tsunade and the others about the situation of his father who had been monitoring the police department for several hours yesterday, but had not seen his father at all. Tsunade pinched his snow-white jaw and frowned. In other words, is he planning something secretly? It doesn't matter what you were planning, right? Next to Nawaki, while flipping through the list of Uchiha family combatants in hand, said. Now there are 215 genin from Uchiha clan, 102 from Shunin, especially 33 from Jonin and 20 from Jonin. After looking up, Nawaki put down the file and calmly said. These people can't make any waves. Patriarch Fugaku himself should know this very well. I worked with him in the Third Ninja World War to fight against the enemy, and I have a certain understanding of him. Next to 09, Namikaze Minato, who has been determined to take over the position of 5th Hokage, said. It doesn't have to be true. Rebellion, maybe there are other reasons? Namikaze Minato's tone was tangled for a few seconds when it came to the word, renegade. Although for Konoha, who now has a large number of talents, Uchiha is indeed not an indispensable combat power. But Namikaze Minato knew that Uchiha was an innocent person who was shackled by Obito. So I can't help but speak for them, but I didn't catch Uchiha Obito. Everything was just empty talk. I just moved the name out. No one would believe that something as big as the Nine Tails Chaos 8 years ago was done by a dead person. Uchiha Shisui on the other side looked bitter and shook his head again and again. This kind of stubborn feeling is hard to describe in words. Obviously know who is behind the scenes, but it has no effect on changing the situation. All the people present showed bitter expressions. Shisui was right. Without Obito, Uchiha cannot be proved innocent. And even if he caught Obito, he was still a ninja from Uchiha. Whether the villagers will worsen the relationship with Uchiha due to this is still unknown. Anyway, this position will be yours next month, Minato. Tsunade stood up and said, Advertisement, as Hokage, we must always consider the most dangerous situation. Yes, Master Hokage. Namikaze Minato nodded solemnly. When he knew that he was selected as 5th Hokage, Namikaze Minato, who had regarded this as his goal since childhood, was naturally ecstatic. But at this moment, he thoroughly felt the pressure on his shoulders. I will continue to monitor my father, Itachi lowered his head and said. But don't stare too closely. The relationship between the village and Uchiha is like a gunpowder keg, which explodes at one point. Tsunade reminded. Yes, nothing unusual? However, in the next few days, the situation went beyond Itachi's guess. It was monitored for several days. He found that his father was going to get off work normally. It never appeared again, as before, talking about going to the police department, but actually I don't know where and what to do. Under surveillance today, Uchiha Fugaku is still normal. Live a 2.1-line life from home to the police department, and then back home from the police department. Could it be a coincidence that night? Itachi couldn't help but doubt his judgment. It's very keen. By dividing chakra more into shadow clone, you can reach the chakra flow level that is unique to the body. It is difficult for ordinary Guyu Sharingan to see that it is shadow clone. At Uchiha Nanga Shrine in the southern suburbs of Konoha, Obito smiled and said to Uchiha Fugaku. How does it feel to be watched by your own son? Talking a lot. How's Cloud Shinobi going? Uchiha Fugaku asked with a sullen expression. Obviously, he is not in a good mood. After all, being watched by his own son, no one can calm down, right? Advertisement. Third Raikage has been thinking about revenge for his son all day and night, only considering the strength of Hitaki Xuan Che in Konoha, he has not dared to do it all the time. Obito smirked. I heard that Uchiha is willing to attack Konoha with the inside and outside, he couldn't ask for it. Not to attack Konoha, I just want Namikaze Minato to step down. Uchiha Fugaku said indifferently, oh, whatever you say. Obito said with disdain for Uchiha Fugaku's pretentious rhetoric. The time is set for the day when Namikaze Minato takes over the ceremony next month. At that time, Third Raikage who sneaked into Konoha will lead the army to make a noise in Konoha, and you will lead Uchiha to carry out an internal reception. Konoha has an enchantment that any unfamiliar chakra can immediately perceive through the village gate, and Third Raikage is afraid that he can't even enter the gate. Uchiha Fugaku said solemnly. Don't you know the secret technique of Cloud Shinobi Village Heavenly Send technique? Uchiha Fugaku's expression changed suddenly. Tiasong technique, the space-time ninjutsu used by Cloud Shinobi to transmit materials. Legend has it that this technique can instantly transmit materials from the logistics to the front line thousands of miles away. But because of the time and space shuttle, it will cause the human body to tear. Therefore, there has been no live teleportation. Only the Third Raikage, known as the strongest Raikage, can bear the side effects of the Tiasong technique. Obito spread his hands out and explained, and at that time, there will be 2 Cloud Shinobi Jinchuriki and hundreds of Cloud Shinobi forces under pressure. With so many factors added together, I really can't think of the possibility of the coup failing. Okay, come on, I'll go now. Obito's body was hollow again, but disappeared completely within a few seconds. When Obito appeared again, he was already outside Konoha's barrier. It's really wicked, Obito, so cheating his own clan. Nepenthes sprang out of the soil, White Zetsu grinned. Even with this lineup, it is no match for Konoha, let alone the monster of Hitachi Xuan Che. If you want to deal with him, you must gather the power of 10 tails. Black Zetsu said in a deep voice, this coup is doomed to fail. Huh. Hitachi Xuan Che is enough to get sick, Obito said coldly. Both Black and White stared at each other in silence. This kid is totally frustrated and mad. Chapter 172. Uchiha Fugaku's behavior is weird recently? With 2 feet placed on the ninja husky from summoning, Xuan Che with his head resting on Yi Yuanlin's knees exudes the stench of capitalism. After listening to Shisui's report, he straightened up. No, it's just that the patriarch's actions were a bit strange some time ago, and it has recently returned to normal, but... Shisui scratched his unique flat nose. There is something to say, there is fart. Xuan Che said impatiently. Recently, many members of the Uchiha Chunin level and above often gather in the police department. When Itachi and I wanted to go in, we were stopped. Shisui gritted her teeth and said with a sullen expression. I don't know what they are discussing. Don't you really intend to initiate a coup like the original, do you? A thought came into Xuan Che's heart. During this period of the original work, there is only Sarutobi Hiruzen left in Konoha, the weakest period in the history of cage-level Konoha. Under such circumstances, Uchiha launched a coup and dare not say that it was 100% successful. But the success rate of 30% is still there, if you can successfully release 9 tails. Maybe it can reach 50%. As for whether the Hokage position of Uchiha Fugaku can be recognized after the successful coup. That's his story, and even if you exclude yourself right now, Konoha village doesn't say anything else. 3 cage levels, Tsunade, Hitachi, and Namikaze Minato still remain. And Sarutobi Hiruzen, Xuan Che, like a passerby, didn't even bother to count him. Although Uchiha Fugaku is not good at strength, he is not an idiot. Where did he dare to launch a coup at this time? Could it be that Obito was instigating him behind his back? Xuan Che doubted. In the Uchiha genocide in the original book, this guy played an important role in it. And now Itachi already knows his true identity. Obito will shift the provocation target from Uchiha Itachi to Uchiha Fugaku, which is not surprising. Nohara Lin next to her was taken aback. Uchiha Obito? Shisui's face suddenly changed, and his facial features rarely showed anger, and he shouted. Isn't it enough to release 9 tails to make Uchiha unjustly wronged, but also to lead the entire Uchiha to a ruinous ending? This B**************. For that guy, it doesn't matter what the world becomes, and the same clan doesn't make much sense to him, right? Advertisement. Xuan Che chuckled, and muttered to himself while pinching his chin. But what does he want to do when he is involved in this matter? Does he also want Sharingan? But isn't Mangekyo both eyes on him? At this time, Xuan Che looked at Yi Yuanlin, who had wide eyes open beside him. After a long breath, he squeezed the other person's face. The beauty is a disaster. Snapped. Nohara Lin patted off the other's pig's hoof with crimson cheeks. Snort. It's a horrible thing to sell well if you get a bargain. Shisui couldn't wait to say, Master Xuan Che, you mean, Obito appeared in Konoha recently. In other words, is it possible for us to catch him? If you can catch him before Uchiha's coup, it would be the best ending, but I don't know if that guy will appear again. Xuan Che twitched his eyebrows and said, next, it can only be handed over to destiny, to see if you can catch Runtu's tail, if not. Xuan Che's eyes moved slightly to the right. Shisui followed his gaze. Zanpakuto Ryujin Jaka, is quietly placed aside. You know what I will do, right? Xuan Che asked. Yes. Shisui's neck was like a machine, and he focused on it. Mr. Xuan Che, I have a feeling of being spied on recently. At dinner time, the cute little lowly Hyuga Hinata said to Xuan Che in a soft and waxy tone. Peeped. Heard these 3 words. Several people at the table all put down their bowls and chopsticks. Apart from you, is there such a pervert? Tsunade winked at Xuan Che and said. Snapped. Xuan Che slapped Tsunade under the table, neither light nor heavy. Let her not be so arrogant. For Hinata, who has already begun to see and hear her master, her perception ability has reached Chunin's level. She said that she could not be wrong if she was spied on. Xuan Che recalled who in the original book was interested in Hinata. Advertisement. Is it a stalker who has a crush on Hinata? But after a round of recollection, there was really no suspicious person searched. To be honest, he is a little skeptical of Naruto's aesthetics in this session of Shaokyang. Haruno Sakura, who feels ugly, actually has Naruto, Shaoli and other big votes to add dogs. Hinata has always been small and transparent, but short hair Hinata does lack that amazing feeling. So Xuan Che let Hinata wear long hair when she was 3 years old. It's now in the state of long hair and waist in the Shippuden period. Perfect lowly. It's not from Cloud Shinobi Village, right? Those guys have been coveting the Hyuga family's blank eyes for a long time. But they have the guts to do this. Backquote. I really can't think of who it is. Forget it, just stay by my side these few days, and I see if I can pick someone out. Xuan Che yawned. Hinata nodded obediently. Nohara Lin next to her looked complicated. Is it about 9 tails 8 years ago? Namikaze Minato succeeded 5th Hokage. The words he just said stimulated Uchiha's people. Thank you for reading this story at mtlarchive.com. Your support enables us to keep the site running. In the evening, in front of the izakaya in Konoha's prosperous street. Isn't this the experience she had when she followed Xuan Che's skins as a follower back then? Then I was. During this period, the Uchiha Police Department arrested villagers who violated the law on a daily basis. Only less than a week. The past is unbearable, good for King Nuo, first. Even ordinary villagers can see that many Uchiha people in the police department are very upset. The reason is that while trying to fight, the drunkard shouted, "You traitors who manipulate 9 tails to destroy the village," detonated the nerves of the Uchiha guard. What is going on with this strong sense of sight? Many people have been imprisoned in the police department for excessive law enforcement. Chunin, a Uchiha police officer, severely injured and alcoholic. It's just a drunk arguing, you don't need to be so cruel, right? Chapter 173. It was just a trivial matter of drunkards. However, the guards who were on patrol actually beat people, and directly beat them to death. This is no small matter. Anbu, who was secretly watching, quickly stopped the situation before it deteriorated further. In the end, both parties were detained together. Uchiha has been so fierce lately. After receiving the news, Tsunade, who had entered the countdown during his tenure, held his face with his right hand and squeezed the smooth skin layer by layer. I am about to retire and have caused so many disturbing things. Obviously, the promotion of Namikaze Minato to 5th Hokage caused Uchiha to be more irritating than imagined. Sister, you said Uchiha wouldn't really plan to. Nawaki is confident that Uchiha can't make any waves. But seeing the takeover ceremony approaching, I couldn't help feeling nervous. The brothers and sisters have tried their best to ease the relationship between Uchiha and the villagers. Unexpectedly, it turned out to be like this in the end. Tsunade took a long sigh and said with a headache. The police force is a job that is easy to hate. As Xuan Che said, the estrangement between the village and Uchiha was established in the early days of the village. I'm out of luck, I can only do my best to minimize the damage. After speaking, Tsunade lay weakly on the desk. He glanced sideways at the calendar on the right wall. There are still 5 days before I abdicate. It's Shadow Clone. Shade from across the street from the police department, acted with Itachi today, monitoring Uchiha Fugaku and Shisui, keeping Sharingan's eyes open, and looking straight at the back of Uchiha Fugaku, who entered the police department and said, "How come?" Itachi was taken aback, and the 3-tomo Sharingan in his eyes also revealed incredible colors. I can't see it. In other words, for so many days, has his father been aware of his surveillance and has been using Shadow Clone to distract himself? Accurately dispersing more chakra into Shadow Clone can better confuse the audience. Your Sharingan has just awakened to the 3rd Guyu Jade, and it is normal if you don't see it. Shisui's face became heavier and heavier. Advertisement. The patriarch might have discovered your surveillance a long time ago. Time is running out soon. Halfway through the conversation, Shisui suddenly turned his head and shouted at Itachi. Itachi, where do you think the patriarch might go? The ferret bit his teeth so tightly that a few drops of blood oozed out. He couldn't think of it at all. At this time, Itachi found a figure, Uchiha Iron Fire. One of the senior officers of the Uchiha Police Department, the radical Uchiha Jonin. The position in the police department is like Uchiha Fugaku's right and left hand. Maybe, something can be extracted from that man's mouth. Itachi said solemnly, Itachi, you want to attack the tribe? Shisui was taken aback by Itachi's thoughts. This is, to stop more sacrifices. The ferret drew the blood from his lips. Shisui squeezed his fists, then shouted in a low voice a few seconds later. Do it. A few hours later. Nanga Shrine, located on the outskirts of Konoha, is hidden in a basement under tatami mats. Boom. The ceiling was violently knocked open. Uchiha Fugaku, who was alone and quietly watching the stone slab, changed his expression and turned to look away. It was found that the ceiling connecting the entrance was shattered by the explosion, and a figure jumped from it. Amazingly, his son, Uchiha Fugaku. The 3-hooked jade in the pupils of the eyes reflected sorrow and could not bear to wait for many complicated gazes. How did you find here, Itachi? Uchiha Fugaku regained his composure within 2 seconds and asked with a frown. Uchiha Iron Fire pried out of him. Itachi didn't mean to conceal anything and responded solemnly. Advertisement. Has it reached the point of shooting against your compatriots, Itachi? Uchiha Fugaku's tone was disappointed and the same sadness as Itachi. It's your father who killed your compatriots, Itachi scolded. The path of a coup d'état really pushed Uchiha into desperation. Father, don't you understand? It makes no sense for Uchiha to fight the village now. There is no chance of winning. The more it came to the back, the stronger Itachi's anger became. Even reached a crazy level. A few seconds later, Uchiha Fugaku turned back to face the steel and said with his back to his son. Indeed, the odds of winning are less than 10%, maybe even smaller. But, halfway through the conversation, Uchiha Fugaku turned around and said in a deep voice. Come on, father, there is still room for recovery now. I know it's unbelievable, but this is the truth. Just listen to Uchiha Fugaku faintly and then speak. For the first time in front of other people, the pair of Mangekyo Sharingan appeared. No. What so-called glory, father, your behavior just made Uchiha a sinner. Itachi's pupils shrank suddenly, and after a while, he slowly said. Thank you for reading this story at mtlarchive.com. Your support enables us to keep the site running. Itachi embraced the last glimmer of hope and said. Uchiha Fugaku's body trembled fiercely. In the Nine Tails Chaos 8 years ago, the main messenger behind the scenes was Uchiha Obito, an undead who should have died. Uchiha was wronged. Uchiha Fugaku turned his head back again, It's too late, Itachi, it's too late. After you go back, think about it. I will give you the opportunity to stand in line, is to join us to obtain the glory that should belong to Uchiha, or to stand on Konoha's side and become the enemy of the clan. After a few seconds of dead silence. But even if this is the case, no, Uchiha will do it too. It's been too long. The anger of the people has reached its limit. We have decided that in 5 days, on the day Namikaze Minato succeeded the 5th Hokage, we will launch a coup. Instead of living under the fence like this and walking dead, it's better to die with the last glory. We can't look back anymore. When you hear the name, Uchiha Obito, Chapter 174. It is 3 days before Namikaze Minato takes over as 5th Hokage. Did Master Xuan Che leave the village? When Uchiha Shisui and Uchiha Itachi returned to the Hokage office to report to Tsunade. I was a little surprised when I got a piece of news. In such a critical period, the strongest person in the village actually left the village? It is said that he has found something. That guy always wants to do one thing, I don't even bother to say it. Tsunade tried his best, turned his gaze to the 2 Uchihas in front of him, and asked. Do you have any new discoveries? Mentioning this topic, the astonishment on the faces of the 2 suddenly turned to despair, and then they knelt on one knee in front of Tsunade, reporting. Yes, Uchiha has officially decided to initiate a revolution on the day Minato-sama takes over Hokage. Father, he called Uchiha Chunin and above fighters participate in it. Namikaze Minato sadly said, after all, it still can't be stopped, is it? The sins committed by his own disciples have to be borne by Uchiha as a whole. The guilt inside Namikaze Minato is self-evident. By all accounts, Uchiha Chunin level fighters and above are no more than 200 people. Even if Uchiha ninjas with Sharingan are enough to fight 1 against 3, fighting Konoha is no different from hitting rocks with pebbles. Nawaki pinched his jaw and analyzed. Patriarch Fugaku has something to do, presumably. The only information I have so far is my father's Mangekyo Sharingan. Itachi said. Mangekyo Sharingan? I once heard Grandpa Tobirama say that throughout the Sengoku period, there is only the ultimate Sharingan awakened by brothers Uchiha Madara Uchiha Izuna. Tsunade fell into a memory instantly. I also played against Uchiha Obito's Mangekyo. It is indeed a very powerful pupil technique, but this alone is still not enough to deal with Konoha. Presumably the patriarch has other options he hasn't told Itachi. Shisui said again. After a long silence, Tsunade shook his head and lamented. In any case, Uchiha's rebellion is a fact that cannot be changed. Let's arrange the deployment of guards when taking over the ceremony. Then, 200 insurgents will be immediately. Although it was once an old enemy, but with Senju's lessons learned, Tsunade does not want Uchiha to follow the same path as Senju. She couldn't condone the 200 people who set off the rebellion. Unlike the Sarutobi Hiruzen and Shimura Danzo in the original work, it affects ordinary Uchiha people who did not participate in the rebellion. This is the biggest concession she can make. Advertisement. Please wait, Tsunade-sama. When Tsunade was about to give an order, Itachi suddenly spoke and interrupted the other party. I saw Itachi resolutely said, if my father is allowed to initiate a rebellion, Uchiha will be stained with an unwashable stigma, and the Uchiha people who survived will be even more difficult to move forward in Konoha's life in the future. 8 years ago, the incident of 9 tails being manipulated by Sharingan has exacerbated the estrangement between the villagers and Uchiha. Many villagers transferred the anger expressed on Naruto in the original work to Uchiha. And if Uchiha launches a rebellion again, even Uchiha Fugaku and others who were the mastermind were suppressed. What will the villagers think of the other tribesmen who have survived in the future? A family of sinners who attempted to rebel twice in a row. It's chilling to think about it. Indeed, Itachi makes sense. Namikaze Minato nodded in agreement. Can you do anything else? Tsunade asked rhetorically. Itachi squeezed both fists, and a few seconds later resolutely said. A sin is enough to be borne by one person. The northern border of the Fire Country and the intersection with Yunokuni. Yin and Yang revolving heaven. It is different from revolving heaven of the ordinary Hyuga family. The black and white colors blend to complete the unique revolving heaven that resembles a yin and yang sphere, with more powerful destructive power than ordinary revolving heaven. Destroy everything in a radius of tens of meters. Is that the real revolving heaven? It's amazing. A figure rushed out of the gap between yin and yang revolving heaven with a hint of teasing. It is Xuan Che from the village. Yin and yang revolving heaven dissipated, revealing the face of a middle-aged man. Hair, pupils, skin, clothes. The whole body was pale. Zero Find Flowers advertisement with this feature. Any reader who has seen Hokage Ninja can identify its identity at a glance. The Otsutsuki family, and one on the left and one on the right, separated by hundreds of meters on 2 sides. A child up to 8 years old stood separately. One is Hyuga Hinata who came here with Xuan Che from the village. The other one also has the characteristics of Otsutsuki tribe who is pale, but his eyes are in a state of horrific emptiness. Is a boy born without eyeballs. Otsutsuki Home, this is his name. It was his father who was fighting against Xuan Che. On the moon, the patriarch of Otsutsuki branch house Otsutsuki Masato. The Otsutsuki people on the moon, every once in a while, will connect the earth and the moon through the channel left by the ancestor Otsutsuki Hamura. Observe how the world left by Sage of 6 Paths develops. If there are signs of destruction in this world, the Otsutsuki people on the moon will intervene. Not long ago, the Otsutsuki branch house on the moon believed that these descendants of Sage of 6 Paths on the earth were killing each other, and there was no doubt that they were on the path of destruction. Therefore Otsutsuki should take action to destroy this old world. The Zong family opposed it. As a result, the two sides fought. The war ended in the end of the clan's entire army being wiped out, and the branch house was only the Otsutsuki Masato, and the Otsutsuki father and son survived. Although both father and son advocate the destruction of this old world. But because the family suffered heavy losses, they could no longer do it. So I had to wait for the opportunity while observing the situation of the earth. However, this time I visited Earth to observe. They kicked to the iron plate. Although the Otsutsuki Sharon is born blind, he has the same powerful perception ability as the second Hokage Senju Tobarama of the past. Hinata had conjectures about the pure white eyes of Hinata. Observed secretly for several days. Then, I met the big bad wolf behind this little white rabbit, Master Hitaki Xuan Che. Will you destroy the world? The second disease is too serious? Xuan Che was speechless to the utmost. Sun, Chapter 175. God Airstrike. The remote gentle fist method that resembles the 8 trigrams air palm was photographed from the hands of Otsutsuki Sharon. But the power is many times stronger than the 8 trigrams air palm of the Hyuga family. The fist led by the high concentration of chakra pressed against the empty one and turned into a giant fist. Sure enough, this is the real gentle fist method of the Otsutsuki family. To be honest, Xuan Che has always felt that the gentle fist method of the Hyuga family is very tasteless. But a battle with the real Otsutsuki family, but it is another matter entirely. Although both races are descendants of Sage of Six Paths' younger brother Otsutsuki Hamura. But it seems that the clan on the moon is the one who has truly inherited the Otsutsuki Hamura inheritance. The Hyuga family staying on the earth. Either the most primitive cultivation method has passed in the process of inheritance, or the castrated version was learned from the beginning. 967. But this level of power, Otsutsuki Hamura personally came to me. I can still pay attention to it, and you don't need to be able to do so. Xuan Che suddenly cut out Zanpakuto from his waist. The howling flames swallowed everything within the visible range of the white eyes. Naturally, it also includes the punching towards Xuan Che. Only in an instant, he took it back. Dad, and Senju Tobarama has a Otsutsuki who can be replaced by perception even if he lacks eyesight, exclaimed. Yin and Yang Revolving Heaven. The ancient Ninzong version of Revolving Heaven, which intersects black and white colors, also exploded with a defense power far exceeding that of the original Revolving Heaven. Can withstand the impact of Ryujin Jaka in a short time. How long can you last? Xuan Che smiled slightly, rolled the flame around the sword, and swung it out. The endless flames form a flame sphere larger than Revolving Heaven, enveloping the black and white Revolving Heaven without dead ends. Burn the city on fire. Soon. Otsutsuki's heart-wrenching cry came from inside the flame ball. Dad! Otsutsuki screamed in shock. Bang, however, it hasn't waited for him to react next. Advertisement: the whole person was kicked to the ground. It's as if the original Kakashi stepped on Sasuke's head in actual combat. Xuan Che also stepped his hind foot on the head of the blind kid. Mr. Xuan Che. Hinata jogged up, still with a few drops of sweat on his forehead. This was the first time she saw Xuan Che's actual combat with her own eyes. Too strong. This kid, I really can't think of a reason to keep him. Xuan Che cast aside Otsutsuki, who was struggling desperately at his feet. I thought that this stinky boy was just like his father, thinking about destroying the world all day long. Keeping it is also a curse, not to mention that this kid is possessive of Hinata. It's really hard to raise a trace of compassion in my heart. Damn it. Let go of me. Otsutsuki Sharon turned his head and shouted angrily. Don't worry, I will give you a hurry. The tip of the knife in Xuan Che's hand touched the back of Otsutsuki Sharon's neck, and the next moment he pierced inward without hesitation. And just as the blade of Zanpakuto was about to pierce the neck of Otsutsuki Sharon, Xuan Che and Hinata only felt the scene in front of them spin around. As if traveling through a tunnel of time and space. But the whole process was only a moment less than a blink of an eye. This is. Hinata looked around curiously. Seal space. Xuan Che subconsciously said. That's right, here is very similar to Xuan Che in Kushina's inner world, the sealed space that seals 9 tails. But there is no such thing as a tail beast and a seal formation. In the empty world, there is only a faint puddle under the feet. That stinky brat named Sharon didn't have the ability to perform this level of ninjutsu to pull me into the spiritual world. To be precise, there are not many in this world. Xuan Che turned his head to look at the emptiness of the spiritual world, smiled and said the scariest words in the calmest tone. I am also very good at mental attacks. It is not difficult to bring down the world. Do you want to experience it? A fearful mouse? I count 3 times. Xuan Che raised his right index finger, 1. Advertisement in the next second, the middle finger was raised up, 2. Another second passed, just as Xuan Che opened his mouth slightly, trying to call out the last, 3, character. There is no need for such impatience, youthful power. At the last moment, an old and strong voice came from behind the two. I am the guardian of the ninja sect, and my name is, Yu Village, 0. Hinata turned her head abruptly, and the old man in front of her made her small face show a look of astonishment again. And, the same as those 2 people just now. The whole body, no matter the skin color, hair color, or eyes, are pale colors. Wait. Hinata watched carefully. it was discovered that this elder, who was at least 80 years old, was not as pure as the Otsutsuki father and son. But in the white pupils, there is another special eye with a mysterious blue color. Both of you brothers like to play this set. Rather, he had vaguely guessed what happened from the moment he was drawn into this spiritual world. Hinata opened his mouth slightly, directly upgrade Naruto and Sasuke from Chaoing to 6 pads level. Compared with Hinata, Xuan Che is more calm. However, Xuan Che was impatiently interrupted. Come on, stop talking nonsense. I am not at all interested in what you two zombies want to do. I am just curious why you cannot die for thousands of years. Xuan Che didn't see a trace of respect in his eyes, but asked with some indifferent contempt. Thank you for reading this story at mtlarchive.com. Your support enables us to keep the site running. And, who is the owner here? The name is familiar, as if it has been seen in the ancient scores of the Hyuga family. At the end of the Fourth Ninja World War, Sage of 6 Paths, an old zombie who should have been dead for thousands of years, suddenly jumped out and passed through. Otsutsuki Hamura. You are staying in this kid's spiritual world? Your two brothers have been dead for thousands of years, why can they still exist? Make countless people who travel through ashamed. After a short silence, Otsutsuki Hamura, or Chakra of Otsutsuki Hamura, spoke again. In the fourth ninja battle in just 3 days, these two goods completed a 3-time increase in their level from Cage level, to Super Shadow, to 6 paths. Big, Otsutsuki Hamura. Xuan Che turned around slowly, facing the old man who was sitting cross-legged in the air behind him. Youth power, you seem to have a prejudice against the behavior of my brother and me, but our two brothers left Chakra in the world for a reason, because. Chapter 176. Maybe it's been a long time since I saw someone like Xuan Che who doesn't give himself face. Otsutsuki Hamura could not help being silent for several seconds before speaking again. Wedge technique. Wedge technique, Xuan Che frowned slightly. This is a technique that can only be used by the Otsutsuki clan. By lodging one's own chakra on others, it can achieve a semi-survival state in which chakra can be left on others even in life and death. Otsutsuki Hamura's face is as calm as the old explanation. The wedge technique of my brother and I is quite special. Chakra can be reincarnated by the host and still remain in the body of the reincarnated. For thousands of years, we have stayed in them, observing the changes in the world, and if there is an accident, we will stop it. Okay, amazing. Hinata exclaimed, overlapping her hands and covering her lips. So that's the case, your old brother used the wedge technique to lodge in the bodies of his two sons in 09, and you should be the same, choose your own descendants, right? Xuan Che laughed and said, after all, I still don't want to die, isn't it? And the ability of wedge technique is more than that, right? In fact, Xuan Che has not always figured out why Black Zetsu can use the body of 6 paths Madara to complete the resurrection of Kagaya. But after listening to Otsutsuki Hamura's explanation of the wedge technique, he basically guessed the reason. After a long silence this time, Otsutsuki Hamura spoke again. The chakra that the Otsutsuki people lodge in the host can counteract the host. Once successful, they can use the host's body to achieve the purpose of resurrection. If Hinata was just astonished just now, after knowing the full effect of wedge technique, it was completely dumbfounded. Isn't this the technique that can resurrect the dead? And it's the perfect kind. Xuan Che's eyes rose slightly. Black Zetsu is not so much Kaguya's son, as it is the ugly woman's mind body or chakra body. Advertisement: when he injected himself into 6 paths Madara's body, he completed the wedge technique and instantly resurrected Kagaya. This is the principle. It's really shameless, you albinos family. Xuan Che disdainfully said. What then? What do you want to do when you pull me and this girl into the spiritual world? Isn't it because you want to use the body of this little devil to resurrect? The wrinkles on Otsutsuki Hamura's face twitched slightly, and his voice said in a low voice. Although the old man and his elder brother used this technique on their descendants, they never had the idea of using their heirs to resurrect themselves. Sharon and his father committed a serious crime. This punishment is a matter of course, and the old man will not take it for granted. Put one's oar in. But, halfway through, while smoking a cigarette, Otsutsuki turned his gaze to the small transparent Hinata who hadn't existed until now. The old man did not expect that the branch house left in the world created by his elder brother could actually give birth to descendants with the blood of the old man's direct line. The Hyuga clan has been divided into clan and branch houses since the Sengoku period and even earlier. And many of the clan's children are already proud of their identity as the family. However, they don't know. These are the people who stay on the earth and are dubbed Hyuga. It is also the so-called branch house, when Otsutsuki Hamura moved to the moon in order to protect the ghetto statue, which was sealed on the moon. The one who took to the moon was the Zong family, and the one who stayed behind on the earth was the branch house. Later, the clan on the moon was also divided into 2 factions, the clan and the branch house. The branch house on the earth is divided into 2 factions, the clan family and the branch house. I have to say that these people are really idle. As a branch house, Hinata actually has the blood of Otsutsuki Hamura, which is indeed a shock to him. Xuan Che blinked, thinking of Sage of 6 Paths opening up the reincarnation of his 2 sons at the end of the Fourth Ninja War. I couldn't help asking, can you hang up on this girl too? Hang up? What's that? Otsutsuki Hamura asked with a frown. Okay, let's say it differently, can you awaken her with the same eyes as yours? Advertisement isn't the power of the world of Hokage ninja, just to look at the eyes? In the original book, The sisters Hinata and Hanabi both possess extremely high purity white eyes that can be called the white-eyed princess. A direct descendant of Otsutsuki Hamura, Otsutsuki Sharon once transplanted the eyes of the sisters. He will be able to awaken Rinnegan, who is the same as his ancestor. This is similar to Uchiha Madara, a direct descendant of Sage of Six Paths, transplanting Senju Hashirama's cells. It's just one reason to evolve from Eternal Mangekyo Sharingan to Rinnegan. But Xuan Che didn't plan to transplant Hinata's cells from that stinky boy. Think of Uchiha Madara and Hashirama before Shisui. FK, that picture is disgusting. He would rather Hinata be a beautiful vase. Is it not good? The old man's chakra can indeed be used as the key to unlock the power hidden in her eyes, but the old man is not sure how much it can exert. Otsutsuki Hamura Kaido. Are there any side effects? If so, don't use it. Xuan Che said he didn't care. Hinata was beautiful and kept as it was. He didn't have any comments. What do you want such a strong force for? Lousy alone is enough. Otsutsuki Hamura blinked twice. Why doesn't this kid play according to the routine? Did he not know the toughness of Tensigan? Don't know what these eyes mean once awakened? Otsutsuki Hamura sighed, then said, if you die, the old man will not know who will be reincarnated in the next life. Once you help this child awaken his power, the last trace of chakra that the old man left in this world will disappear, and he will go to the pure land of bliss. The ghetto statue was summoned away. The old man has learned about it through Sharon's body. Obviously, there are people who inherited the mother's will in this world. The old man hopes that someone can stop them. Otsutsuki Hamura fixed his gaze on Hinata. Child, would you like it? Chapter 177. I feel no change. 10 minutes later, Xuan Che looked at Hinata again. Did not find any change. And fourth forbearance sector end of the war, Naruto and Sasuke get Sage of the Six Paths hanging directly 6 paths open mode with Hook Jade Rinnegan far worse. She is still too young, it takes time to accumulate, the potential to fully awaken. Otsutsuki Hamura saying this time, the body has gradually gives off shimmer. Look of the thing, an impure world reincarnation is released summoned by the same state. To return to the spirit world is a sign of Elysium. Well, that. Thank you, Hinata nervous stammersome shouted. Do not let the world created by the destruction of his brother, young forbearance were heirs. Otsutsuki Hamura's body has gradually ascended to heaven, the last remaining in the world of chakra began to return to the underworld. Although I do not like your brothers, but the matter touches can promise you, I kinda like this world, and will not let it destroy it. Xuan Che smiled. Oh, do not understand the interests of the younger generation. Otsutsuki Hamura smiled shaking his head, then rose to empty, no dissipated. The Xuan Che and Hinata in front of the spiritual world falls apart. Once again greeted, has entered the middle of the night as the real world. This kid, with a direct descendant of the blood Hamura, may be therewith. Xuan Che perceived foot Otsutsuki Shirin, after thought. Summoning technique, palm press on the ground. With a burst of smoke spread, a visual inspection as only 3 months old small 2 hectares appeared. Wow. Then, an incredible thing happened. Small 2 Kazakh howl, trying to shift the body as their own care several times Otsutsuki rounding the back, flew out. Xuan Che adults, after, if that is the day after tomorrow Minato took over 5th generation adult life purpose, it is now time to go back to. Even got Hamura's chakra heritage, Hinata's character has not a hint of change. Still spoke like that Ruanua waxy tone. That point out the things, there is nothing to go back. In comparison, I'd like to see your new strength. Advertisement Xuan Che will Hinata through, close observation of her pearly white eyes too. Hinata face suddenly red fast can boil water. Sure enough, look into Tensigan or impossible Xuan Che in his heart muttered, then did not return to Konoha. But continued to rush the country to the north boundary line of fire and the country's soup. This border area between countries, often to the extreme confusion. It is a bounty hunter and forager habitat. Xuan Che wanted to use the garbage to Hinata to try their hand. This son of a B****ch, happens at such times not contact. Office within Konoha village Hokage, Tsunade cursed. Side of the Minato sounded sorry to see the color of Uchiha Itachi said. Ferret, you really decided yet? Uchiha Itachi resolutely said. Once they acquired the father coup, waiting for them will be a siege countless Konoha shinobis, that time will lose not only their lives, but also let Uchiha back later never wash charges. Speaking half, Uchiha Itachi clenched fist 1 point, the bitter tone. That being the case, it is better by one person to bear all my sins. Remaining Uchiha tribe can normally survive in Konoha. Uchiha is still the glory of the family. Deplore next Uchiha Shisui face color, suddenly opening. I accompany you with. No, Shisui, Uchiha future, to be entrusted to you. Uchiha Itachi suddenly interrupted by a friend, then. Bear the sins of the people, one is enough. Ferret, you know, there is also your own father? Hitaki Shuo Mao frown asked. This is to limit the damage of the method. Uchiha Itachi almost grinding his teeth, jumped out the words through his teeth, then said. I Shisui asked to be tomorrow night, in the south of Ho Shrine Uchiha. Uchiha father will build more than Chunin grade 200 elite gathered to discuss the day after the coup plan, when, but also invite you to help seniors. Speaking of which, Uchiha Itachi suddenly knees kowtowed, Uchiha to please. Scene, into silence. After a long time, Namikaze Minato this will soon become the first man 5th Hokage opening. As long as I am 5th Hokage Namikaze Minato alive for one day, I promise Uchiha family no longer subject to any harm. Advertisement, backquote I was. Me too, the presence of many other experts have echoed. Soup of the country is the land of fire-affiliated countries. Like Xuan Che, so famous people come, what passes like the natural stuff is not required. If not, Xuan Che said he was just passing through. Tom Hidden village leader must be personally served. Southwest border desert country of soup. Xuan Che led Hinata walking into a pub. When you see two men came in, the presence of many drinkers drink down his face cannot help one change. They all wear from the waist two knife features view, should be a bounty hunter or Ronin. But no group of people and then make other reactions, still looking down to drink. Xuan Che adults, this is the bounty hunter gathering place for it? Meng Meng Da Hinata asked, most people would think so. Xuan Che the eyes into a virtual, Zhao Wang Kanat, line, face emerging out dangerous smile. However, in addition to the broadsword, then nothing will Ronin, the practice draw a sword to stay in the exclusive scar between the thumb and index finger, is very rare in them, that is sleep, which help people do not use two knife, but the knife forbearance. Xuan Che rode, a striking phrase, in other words, they are not Ronin, but ninja. Bang, 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 moment, the whole Sky Paijo pub dozens of people to read. Many people even bother to hide, hats off directly overhead, show their true colors towards Xuan Che and Hinata to lunge. Cloud Shinobi Village's forehead protector, oh, there is a windfall? Xuan Che sneered. Hinata deep breath, veins burst both eyes now. Hands and fingers to draw a black and white 2 chakra. Yin and Yang revolving heaven. Chapter 178, although I could barely use Otsutsuki Himura's original gentle fist technique, it was still too tender after all. Xuan Che stepped on the back of a Cloud Shinobi who had fainted on the ground, and his right hand was like carrying a rabbit as if carrying a Yi Yuan Lin, Shi Rihong and their shoulder-length golden short-hair beauties of the same age. In comparison, almost everyone looks like a coal miner and most Cloud Shinobi ninjas. She has a white and smooth skin. Hinata, who was next to him, got some dust and slight injuries due to the battle, and bowed his head and said, sorry, Master Xuan Che. Don't worry too much, you have just gained his power, and it is only natural that you can't use it. After speaking, Xuan Che slapped her on the cheek mercilessly. Although it wasn't too cruel, the pain was enough to awaken her from the coma. Everyone is, after the blonde beauty woke up, she subconsciously exclaimed when she saw Cloud Shinobi lying on the floor. Yunokuni is a subject of the Fireland. Without our consent, the ninjas of the Thunderland are not qualified to enter here. Xuan Che threw the blonde beauty on the ground, and found a place to sit down. Let's talk about it, what are you thinking about Cloud Shinobi Village? Throughout history, the favorite of Konoha is Cloud Shinobi. Whether it was Uzumaki Kashina who tried to kidnap the then Nine Tails Jinchuriki candidate many years ago. It was supposed to happen in the original book, trying to kidnap Hyuga Hinata. Xuan Che has some doubts whether it was Senju Hashirama or Senju Tobarama who slept with Raikage's wife before. Otherwise, why are these coal-digging barbarians so targeting Konoha? Sammy was obsessed. She could not say, nor dared to say. This is an S-level task confessed by the highest level, and it must not be leaked. But the man in front of him, Sam Yi, resisted the fear in his heart. The man who killed the son of Lord Raikage was the ultimate goal of this mission. Unexpectedly, he would appear in front of him before the mission started. If he falls into his hands, thinking of this, Samui was desperate. In the next moment, without hesitation, he drew out the small ninja sword as a weapon, and pierced his own throat with all his might. Hinata was shocked by the sudden change. Advertisement. This is the ninja. Once the ninja fails the mission, he must be mentally prepared to die. After you die, I will summon Konoha's army to attack Cloud Shinobi Village. Xuan Che's understatement made Sam Yi abruptly stop when the tip of the ninja sword touched the skin of his throat. The tip of the knife sank several centimeters into the snow-white skin, dropping a few drops of blood. In recent years, Cloud Shinobi has developed pretty well, right? Although I killed a son of the old man Raikage in the Third Ninja War, and asked your village to pay a huge sum of 10 billion taels. But your ninja village also has 2 perfect Jinchuriki, which is equivalent to having 3 cage levels, right? Xuan Che fortunately took out a bottle of intact spirits from the smashed sloppy wine cabinet, filled himself with a glass, and vomited it all after just one sip. After secretly cursing, what bad wine, he continued. Compared with other Shinobu villages, it is already very strong, right? But, having said that, Xuan Che once again put on his signature bad smile on his face, and said, but if Konoha, Mist Shinobi, Sand Shinobi, and the 3 Shinobi villages join forces to attack Cloud Shinobi, what do you think will happen? At this moment, Samui, the famous cold beauty of Kirigakure, showed her most shocked expression in 22 years of living. The 3 nations of fire, wind, and water are alliances. All ninja world knows about this, although the ally of the ally is not my ally. The country of wind and the country of water are not allies. But Sand Shinobi's poor view may be able to make a fortune in the land of thunder. How is it possible to refuse? Among them, 5th Mizukage Terumi Mei is also the wife of Hitaki Xuan Che. As long as he claims to attack Cloud Shinobi, Mist Shinobi cannot refuse. So as long as Hitaki Xuan Che thinks by himself, those 3 countries joined forces to attack the Kingdom of Thunder, that is a certainty. Only, as long as I tell you the inside story, can you not attack the Land of Thunder? Sam tremblingly said. You are not qualified to negotiate with me. Attacking on the subject of Fire Nation without authorization is enough to become a reason for war. Xuan Che yawned. If it weren't for your Yushang University, I wouldn't bother to talk so much nonsense with you. Sam Yi's body trembled with a visible range. Advertisement. A few seconds later, he swallowed a mouthful of saliva, which relieved a little nervousness and said. Lord Raikage, we plan to cooperate with the Uchiha clan. We will attack Konoha while you Konoha will hold the 5th Hokage's succession ceremony tomorrow. As soon as he said this, Hinata's eyes suddenly glared at the boss. And Xuan Che is thinking about a problem. Can Uchiha Fugaku contact 3rd Raikage? That kid Itachi has been monitoring his father for a while. I shouldn't have this chance, right? But after thinking about it, Uchiha Fugaku can't do it, but Runtu can. That neurotic idiot, no matter what happens, it's not surprising. With your strength, I want to besiege Konoha. Xuan Che glanced at the cloud shinobi lying around. But only dozens of people. Xuan Che got up and stretched. Hinata said anxiously. I was afraid that it hadn't arrived yet, but was blocked by the ninja army guarding the border. Let's go. Master Xuan Che, what should I do now? Tomorrow Mr. Minato's succession ceremony will begin. Thank you for reading this story at mtlarchive.com. Your support enables us to keep the site running. At least, a large-scale war has been ignited within the Country of Fire. There are only a small group of people, Lord Wooden Golem and Bigger, detour from the Eastern Sea Road through the Water Country and the Western Grass Country into the Fire Country to launch an attack. Xuan Che twitched his eyebrows. Who said Konoha? Let's go to Cloud Shinobi Village. Xuan Che's words were shocking, and both Hinata and Sam Yi were taken aback. If it becomes, Sam Yi whispered, this is a very poisonous strategy. Even if it is not enough to make Konoha suffer a heavy blow. These people want to attack Konoha? Is it time to return to Konoha now? Hinata worried. Chapter 179. It is less than 24 hours before Namikaze Minato's 5th generation takeover ceremony. On the outskirts of Konoha village, on a cliff at Nanga Shrine. Uchiha Itachi and Uchiha Shisui are sitting on the edge of the cliff, and the others standing behind them. After the original 9 Tails destroyed most of Konoha, Uchiha was forcibly moved here by Tuan Zhang. But for now, Uchiha still lives in the central area of the village. Therefore, when the Uchiha people want to come to Nanga Shrine, they have to go outside the village. At the same time, since everyone knows that Nanga Shrine is a shrine enshrined by the Uchiha family, no non-Uchiha people come here daily. It's convenient for Itachi. Uchiha Itachi looked at the huge Konoha village from a distance, and took a deep breath after a long time. After tonight is over, Uchiha will ask you, Shisui, Sasuke, Mother, and other people. Aren't you going to tell Sasuke and Mrs. Makoto? Shisui was a little surprised. Anyway, I made this decision and I was destined to become Uchiha's sinner. Mom and Sasuke don't need to know this. In the future, you will take my life and revitalize Uchiha as a Konoha hero. Uchiha Itachi turned his head and said firmly, this is the best way to solve this disaster perfectly. In the original book, Itachi's original plan was for Sasuke to take his own life. Return to Konoha as the hero of Konoha, but now, there is no need to slaughter the entire Uchiha clan to death, only the part that has become deranged. At the same time, his best friend Shisui was still alive, so Itachi naturally chose Shisui as a more suitable candidate than Sasuke to take his own life. Do you want me to be guilty of killing my friends? B*************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************̈ suicide, and you will bring back my head. That's okay. Itachi also showed a rare smile. But within a second, the smile on Itachi's face converged, and he whispered. Coming. The two looked down together. A large number of Uchiha people began to come here, headed by the patriarch Uchiha Fugaku, began to enter Nanga Shrine. They are all Uchiha elites above the Chunin level. After all of them enter, Lord 5th generation will expand the enchantment, and then I will enter and solve it. Uchiha Itachi whispered. Advertisement hidden in the dark, it's not just me and Shisui. Namikaze Minato, Hitaki Tsukumo, 2 cage-level masters, have arranged for many elite subordinates to hide around. Once you decide to do it, Shisui and Namikaze Minato will open the seal barrier together to prevent one person from escaping. Something's wrong, Itachi. Just when 200 Uchiha people entered the shrine, Uchiha Itachi held the shinobi in his hand tightly and was about to clear it out. Shisui spoke suddenly and stopped his actions. How? Itachi turned his head and asked. Think about it, don't you think it's weird? Shisui frowned and stared at the Nanga shrine below. The patriarch has already had a showdown with you. It stands to reason that he should guard against gathering a large number of clansmen like this to prevent being swept away by a single net, not to mention that he is in such a location in the suburbs, and he simply puts himself in danger. After a short pause, Shisui said again, I don't think the Fugaku patriarch will make such a low-level mistake. I was reminded by Shisui. Itachi also felt a little strange. But immediately shook his head again. There is no time. If you miss this time, there will be no chance again. After speaking, Itachi jumped off the top of the cliff. The moment he landed, Namikaze Minato and Shisui also jumped out from opposite directions. Wood-style Bajulao technique, Seal 3 purple flame array. Countless huge wooden pillars crossed into a cube, and the outside was wrapped by a triangular purple inflammation pyramid. Only one passage is left on the front side. under the double seal formation, even cage level, don't even want to escape from it. And Itachi, who passed the passage, took a deep breath and walked to the gate of the shrine. Push into it after a few seconds, however, when Itachi officially stepped into the shrine. The sight in the main hall greeted him, once frightened him in place. Advertisement 0 Fine flowers 200 Uchiha radicals lay on the ground neatly in a coma. The only man who remained conscious was sitting in the front of the center of the fainted crowd, with his back to himself, kneeling on the ground. Surprisingly, his own father, Uchiha Fugaku. Don't be surprised, these people are just illusions. Uchiha Fugaku turned his back to his son and explained indifferently. Illusory. So many people. Uchiha Itachi looked at these tribesmen who fainted on the ground in disbelief. Throwing so many people with Sharingan into illusion at one time, how? How is it possible? Even without looking at his son's face, Uchiha Fugaku could guess what Itachi was thinking, and explained again. 0. The pupil skill bonus that Mangekyo brings to the eyes is far beyond what you think, but there is another reason that the people are not wary of me, so they can be trapped in the world of illusion so smoothly. Promise me, Sasuke and your mother, leave it to you. It was just to give yourself a convenience, yes. The reason why he brought the tribesmen who participated in the coup to the shrine far away from the village, and also used Mangekyo's pupil technique to bring these tribes down. Itachi's hands with the knife began to tremble. I know, but I still have these people, there is no other choice. The power of Mangekyo is indeed very strong, but only you have it. When fighting Konoha, you still hit the stone with the pebbles. Uchiha Fugaku doesn't even head Kaido. Uchiha Fugaku looked straight at the Uchiha clan emblem on the central wall of the shrine, and said solemnly. In an instant, I understood what my father meant. After about half a minute of silence, Uchiha Itachi spoke slowly. As soon as he said this, Itachi's eyes widened. Don't be afraid, compared with your pain, my pain is just a moment. Do what you want, everything is ready for you. Father's strange move actually took the initiative to seek death. Thank you for reading this story at mtlarchive.com. Your support enables us to keep the site running. Itachi replied in tears. Son, chapter 180, ended. When Itachi walked out of Nanga Shrine, both the tone and the temperament exuding from his body became colder than before. Namikaze Minato and Uchiha Shisui see this. Together they lifted the prison of the three purple flame array and wood style. Next, I only need to act in a play. Shisui, 5th generation master, leave it to me next. Itachi's expression was calm, but his eyes couldn't help but tear down a line of tears. Also, Lord 5th generation, this is what my father asked to give you. With that said, Itachi gave another scroll to Namikaze Minato. Namikaze Minato looked complicated and took the scroll. Uchiha Shisui also tightened his lips, patted Itachi's shoulder twice, then turned and left. This time, I don't know when we can meet again. After the two of them left 970, Uchiha Itachi took a deep breath and walked into the shrine again. Before he leaves, he has to perform the last play. The 200 Uchiha radicals all have their own family members. As time goes by, it enters the night. The family members in the ethnic area found that their father, husband, son and others said they would go to Nanga Shrine for a meeting, but they have not returned. All unanimously walked out from Jiahe and rushed to Nanga Shrine. Among them are Uchiha Makoto, the wife of the patriarch, and Uchiha Sasuke, the second son of the patriarch. As a result, in Konoha Street, you can see many Uchiha women and children traveling together to the suburbs. The full moon tonight looks very scarlet for some reason. What a strong smell of blood. Uchiha Makoto, who was also a ninja, led dozens of Uchiha women and children to the gate of Nanga Shrine. The bloody smell evaporating from it was startled. An unknown premonition flooded my mind. Quack, the gate of the shrine was slowly pushed open. In the eyes of dozens of Uchiha women and children, a teenager under the age of 14 slowly walked out of it. The shinobi in his hand reflected a coquettish red light under the shining of the moonlight. Nissan. If it changes to normal, Sasuke can't help but jump into his opponent's arms. Advertisement, but at this moment, the terrifying momentum that radiated from his brother made him dumbfounded. The same is true for other women. Itachi. In the end, it was the mother Uchiha Makoto who stood up, holding Sasuke with one hand, and stroking the other hand in front of Yu Shang, frowning and asked. Here. What's wrong with your father? Uchiha Itachi still looked cold, and slowly closed his eyes. After a few seconds of silence, he suddenly opened. The three-hooked jade in the pupil suddenly changed into a triangular dart. Mangekyo Sharingan. In an instant, dozens of women and children were present. At this moment, I only felt that everything in the world had turned blood red. Immediately afterwards, they saw, inside Nanga Shrine, Uchiha Fugaku, the patriarch, is discussing with 200 clansmen. At this moment, a teenager with ruthless blood in his eyes rushed into it. Relentlessly waving the ninja sword in his hand, amidst the cries and begging of mercy from the people inside, they harvested their lives. Among them, he also includes his own father. Although it was treated like Sasuke in the original book, he can still exert mental pressure with the energy of Tsukuyomi's free manipulation of time and space. It was just a fake Itachi, the world imagined by the surgeon, and presented it in front of the families of the dead. But even so, the impact on them is unimaginable. Vomit. Sasuke was the first person who couldn't help it and immediately fell to his knees, retching. Other family members also collapsed to the ground, and many people fainted directly. After all, although they also bear the name of Uchiha, they actually don't have any fighting ability. It's just a woman who is an ordinary husband and child. Itachi. Could it be that you give them to? How is it possible? Itachi, how can Itachi? God, my God, you give all your father. The Uchiha women and children who were barely awake looked at Itachi in disbelief. They couldn't believe it. The impression was polite, as Uchiha's proud boy would have done such a frenzied thing. Impossible. Nissan is impossible to do such a thing. Advertisement. Sasuke's heart-piercing arms raised loudly. Nissan, speak up. After a short silence, Itachi spoke quietly again. What a stupid brother. Zero. After a few seconds, Uchiha Itachi said again. Nanga Shrine, in the secret room under the penultimate tatami, there is an ancient stone monument about the secrets of the Uchiha clan, which records the secrets of Sharingan and the method of awakening Mangekyo Sharingan. That is, kill the person you cherish the most. The triangular dart in Uchiha Itachi's eyes suddenly enlarged. Kill yourself. The most cherished person. Uchiha Makoto's face was pale and trembling. Said. Itachi, could it be said that you are for this? Yes, so I can awaken these eyes, Itachi said coldly. My goal has been achieved. I am completely desperate for this extremely decadent race. What a joke. Sasuke let out a roar and rushed towards Itachi. No, Sasuke. Come back soon. Uchiha Makoto hurriedly tried to stop it, but it was too late. Itachi can give his father. It's hard to guarantee that he won't even join his brother. However, facing Sasuke blindly rushing like a puppy's angry together, Itachi didn't even look squarely with the focus of his pupils. When Sasuke rushed forward, he flew directly, kicked it, and hit the trunk of the big tree behind. Stupid Odudu. Uchiha Itachi said his most famous classic line and said coldly. If you want to kill me, you hate me, and live forever, avoiding and escaping, holding your life tight, and then you will come when you have the same eyes as mine. In front of me, your existence will be meaningful at that time. Although Itachi's plan now is for Shisui to take his life in the future, but it's okay to switch to Sasuke. Whether it is Shisui or Sasuke, as long as he can kill himself as a sinner and bring him back to Konoha in the future, he will be able to restore Uchiha's glory.